They say too much stress really does turn hair white. The cells that give hair its color disappear when the body is exposed to stress hormones, and once affected, those colorful cells, they're gone for good. Well, we women suspected it. Now it's official. A British study says men finally grow up at age 43, 11 years after women mature. This is ABC News.
When marketing rep Bob Clasby stays at La Quinta Inns and Suites, he's greeted by a fun, friendly staff.
Hey, Bob.
Welcome back, Bob.
Love the haircut, Bob.
Now that's friendly. And when Bob brings those positive vibes to work the next day, you know what happens?
And that's my presentation. Thoughts? Ooh. Comments? Ah. Feedback? Ooh.
He's got the room oohing and eyeing. La Quinta takes care of you so you can take care of business. Book your next successful stay at LQ.com.
Geico says, let's make life simpler.
It's a fact of modern life. Switching isn't easy. Your bank, your cable company, your girlfriend. Let's just say each switch comes with a certain degree of difficulty. But switching to Geico, now that couldn't be easier. First of all, it only takes 15 minutes. And just like that, you could be saving hundreds on car insurance. No muss, no fuss, no irate, vengeful, significant others.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
We want to talk right down to earth in a language that everybody here can easily understand.
And now it's time for the voice.
Don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, stick your head out and yell, "Hated man! Top of the world!"
The voice of Ocala with Buddy Martin.
You know I don't speak Spanish. In English, please.
Look in my eyes, what do you see? The cult of personality. I know your anger, I know your dreams. I've been everything you wanna be. Oh, I'm the cult of personality.
Hello there. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of The Voice of Ocala. I'm Buddy Martin. Very pleased to be with you today on a rather toasty, one of the final days of spring. We kind of get down now. We've only got a few left to go, JJ, and you can feel the temperature rising. It's getting up in there at 90 mark. So get ready for a nice, long, hot summer as we have around here. Not always bad. Go to the beach, read, do things like that. Even sometimes even play golf when it gets that hot. So good to be with you on this day. We are every weekday from 3 to 6, wherever you are out there in Radio Land, on your computer or your car phone or your car radio or your home. Who listens to radio at home anymore? I do, because I have a Bose radio, and I love it. I love listening to my radio. In fact, when I get home sometimes at night after the show, I listen to a little bit of Clark Howard. So, and of course, the morning show here every now and then. So, yeah, anywhere, however we're reaching you today, we're just glad to be with you. It's always a privilege to be able to have a little time on the radio, share with you. On today's show, we got the mayor coming in here at 3:30. He wants to talk about, get this, baseball. I don't know what that means. I hope it means something good. When he says baseball, JJ, he doesn't mean the Tampa Bay Rays. He's talking about the New York Yankees minor league team, which is something he is very much behind. And very thinks we can get it done, and he's got obviously some things to talk about today, so we'll get that out of him. Also, we continue on. We're going to surprise him again. He probably doesn't know this yet in our campaign to turn him into a zombie for the big World War Z movie next week. We figured he'd just look great in the three-piece suit as a zombie. That's probably not going to happen.
No.
But we're going to have to ask him. Hey, you never know about him. And you know, I've talked about this several times, and will continue to do so, about fatherhood, after having a little long conversation with my own son about this. And we agreed, after reading a few articles, that, you know, it's about time for somebody to stand up for the dads for a change. I mean, look, dads, you know, let's face it, they don't do all the work, and the moms really are the ones who have the biggest job to do, but dads contribute. And some of us are just kind of tired of the image, the doofus dad image that television puts out there. And we had an excellent article today in Esquire, Why Fatherhood Matters. And we'll talk about that later on in the show, or maybe the second hour. Looking forward to talking with Bill Conley. I don't know Bill Conley, but I read an article he wrote from SB Nation breaking down the Florida Gators analytics. You guys know what analytics are, obviously, and baseball's talked about a lot. He's got. I'm not a big numbers guy, but he impressed me with his knowledge he had breaking down the offense, the defense, particularly the offense. He's got some good stats, and was one of the more intelligent stories I've seen about the Florida Gators because there hasn't been much to write about lately. So I'm looking forward to talking to him about that. So we're efforting to try to get someone from either side, the school board or the teachers or whatever, to talk about the current issue of teachers being laid off and the reaction it has spawned here with the group saying they're going to try to raise funds and going to try to find ways to make up the gap after the first-year teachers were fired. A lot of people are angry about that. We're obviously not happy about it here. George Thomas saying, hey, the numbers don't lie. Here's what it is. We've got this much money, and this is what we got, and this is what we have to do. So I don't know how we stand on that. Tom Schmitz, hello to you, and let's talk about that issue a little bit today because it's an important one.
Hi, buddy. I've tried to reach out to Nancy Stacy, school board member, one of the newest school board members. Still trying to get back with her. Her, as you would expect, her voicemail box is full because she had a very different plan of action last night at the school board. Mm-hmm. I've also reached out to Chris Altobello, who is the president of the Teachers Union, the Marion County Education Association, which is the teachers union here in town. And as you would expect, his mailbox is full. So we have left messages, sent text messages. We're trying to get somebody from the school board and somebody from the teachers union to try to come on the radio and talk about this. But as of now, every attempt we have made has not been fruitful.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. George Thomas has been very good about coming on the radio with us. But we'd like to get some from the other side, too. So we want to get from the teachers and their union. People say, why don't you report both sides? Well, we can't always get both sides. So if somebody out there wants to call us off the air or call us on the hotline, and JJ can take the call, if you're a school board, if you're a teacher or whatever, or knowing someone who can speak with authority, because the union doesn't like for just anybody to speak for them, give us a call at 622-9622, the Climate Control Source Hotline, and we'll try to hook you up for a conversation. Just so we're going to continue to talk about this because it's one of those things that education is so critical to our community right now. And Tom, you're a former teacher, and the thing about it is that we look at the stats. The stats tell us we're not doing that well in the state.
Well, it does. And Nancy Stacy last night said at the school board meeting she thinks that we ought to take the budget apart line by line so we know exactly where everything's being spent so we can see whether you may be able to cut without cutting teachers' jobs and stuff. But like the superintendent said, the numbers don't lie. Here's the numbers. You can look at them. We're in a deficit, and we're using our reserves every year to quell this deficit. Now we're out of reserves.
According to his story, his quotes today in Star Banner, he has turned the budget upside down, and he's tried every way in the world. But I think the idea of reshaping the budget and looking at it, the problem is there's certain things you can't do by law. Like there's certain funds you get for bricks and mortar. You can't use it by law for anything else but bricks and mortar.
Right.
Like they've got to build a new school here because they got the money or they're going to lose it because I think it's the state that matches. So they have to either use this money or lose it. By the same token, we have to lay off all our first-year teachers. Everybody knows, look, we do sports around here. We understand the importance of what happens if a football team takes their draft class and or in case of college, their signees, their first class says, you guys got to go away, you can't be here. That's critical. You got to have that young blood coming up, and that's a measure of desperation. And I remember just a year ago when we talked about they were thinking of cutting back to 4-day weeks for school,
right,
and the chaos that caused. Now here's what happened. We didn't do that, but we did something almost as bad. We cut the teachers. Now I'm not enough up on it and informed on it to say if there are options. But on this program, we like to learn. So we're going to attempt to continue to try to do that and see if we can find out if there are options, at least discuss some of those. So hopefully get some information on that for you. Meanwhile, we'll tell you about John Travolta taking people to the movies and how you can enter a contest to be one of the people who can win a ticket to that. And as I said, does fatherhood really matter? And good news, at least for the family of the little girl who's needing a lung transplant. We'll tell you about that next right here on the Voice of Ocala.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
This reprise of Ask the Cops is proudly brought to you by Daniel L. Hightower, PA, lawyer, fighting for accident victim justice since 1976.
A couple weeks ago, I was involved in a minor car accident, and they said they were going to send out highway patrol. And I was wondering if this was like the new philosophy of the sheriff's department to keep the boots on the ground and keep our sheriffs out there trying to solve these crimes rather than these minor traffic accidents.
Yes, ma'am, I totally agree with that. We don't investigate accidents, vehicle accidents in the county, so now we will respond if there's a traffic situation where we need someone there to take care of traffic until Florida Highway Patrol can respond. But we don't investigate traffic accidents, so and if it's not a serious in nature, then we probably just have the cars pull off to the side, and then you would wait for Florida Highway Patrol to show up to work the case.
Since 1976, Daniel L. Hightower, a lawyer, has been fighting for accident victim justice in North Central Florida and statewide. He believes everyone in America should follow the rules, including the insurance companies. He and his firm have experience fighting for victims of personal injury, wrongful death, workers' compensation, and Social Security disability, as well as serving those in need of help with bankruptcy, simple wills, and estate plans. The mission at the law offices of Daniel L. Hightower, PA, is to represent deserving clients and recover the maximum benefits they are entitled to by law in a timely manner. In personal injury and workers' compensation cases, there are no fees or costs unless the recovery is made. The law office of Daniel L. Hightower is located at 7 East Silver Springs Boulevard, Suite 300. For your free consultation, call 352-629-7777 or 1-888-LAW-1976 and visit danhightower.com for more information. Daniel L. Hightower, PA lawyer, fighting for accident victim justice, and the proud sponsor of Ask the Cops.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram, CEO of Gateway Bank, inviting you to drop by our main office on Silver Springs Boulevard every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for the Community Gazette, a 3-hour show focusing on our favorite community to live and work, Ocala, Marion County. Come join us with the voice of Ocala, Buddy Martin, in the new old-fashioned bank radio studio as we discuss a variety of interesting topics on the Community Gazette on WOCA, The Source.
WOCA, Ocala.
Call me crazy. Some people say insanity is doing the same thing over and over expecting a different result. I think insanity is 1,000 single-sided full-color business cards for $15 or packing service for 50% off. Call me crazy. Regency Printing on the corner of Northeast 25th Avenue and 24th Street, 789-6683. That's 789-6683. Look for the yellow signs.
Need a fun activity for your kids? Camp Caballo is being hosted by the Marion Therapeutic Riding Association and accepting riders aged 7 through 13. Riders will learn proper horse care and horse-keeping skills through creative projects relative to horses and will have riding and grooming lessons. Space is still available for the week of June 17th. The entire week at camp is only $250 per child. Ask us about discounts for multiple registrations. Call Lori at 352-732-7300 for more information. Hurry, call today.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Life jackets save lives. Wear it, Florida. Partly sunny today with a shower or thunderstorm in the area in the afternoon and evening, high 89 to 94. Partly cloudy later tonight, low 70 to 75. Sunshine mixing with some clouds, a thunderstorm in spots tomorrow afternoon, high 90 to 96. Muggy with a mixture of clouds and sunshine on Friday, high 89 to 94. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Steve Travis.
Hi, this is Joe, and I'm your host for the new show, Damage Control, every Tuesday morning at 10:30 a.m., brought to you by Damage Control Services. We're going to be discussing floods, fires, storm and tree damage, sinkholes, mold, and many other disasters that you need to know about, how to prevent and prepare for them, as well as what to do when it happens and what to expect after it happens. This is Damage Control, Tuesdays at 10:30, right here on The Source.
This is Tom Smith live in WOCA studios with this news break brought to you by the Angie Lewis State Farm Agency. Ocala police are seeking assistance identifying 2 men accused of robbing a man in the downtown area Tuesday night. Officers were called to Starbucks on Magnolia Avenue where the victim told him he had gotten out of his vehicle, was walking and texting on his cell phone on Fort King Street when someone punched him in the face. He fell to the ground. Another man took his wallet and stepped on his face. Then they both ran away. The victim was taken to the hospital for evaluation. Anyone with information can call the Ocala Police Department at 369-7000. This news break was brought to you by the Angie Lewis State Farm Agency. Join Angie as she joins Buddy weekly for her Biz Buzz and Good Neighbor Award.
I need a cup of coffee and a couple dollars change. Calling Baton Rouge.
It was like the mayor and the chief got a little work to do downtown. They've had another little crime down there, which is never good news. So we'll get on that, talk with the mayor a little bit. Not much you can do other than the fact acknowledge you have it. And hey, that's our territory, Starbucks. We hang out down there. So not that the criminal will get any money out of my wallet, he wouldn't. But the fact remains is it's scary.
You know what that shows, though? You should always be alert of your surroundings.
Yeah, and let's face it, there's a few unsavories around there. There
are.
And I have a heart for the homeless people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's them. Could be anybody. But the fact is that we don't want to have that kind of stuff happening in downtown in our squares. So looks like the chief's going to have to muscle it up some down there or something. Later on in the program, we're attempting to bring in people talking about books. I really enjoyed Susan Wiggs earlier this week and Joan Martin making her radio debut with helping with the interview. And I'm interested in not only the book, but how she wrote the book and her technique in writing it, being a writer myself. We're going to continue to try to bring people who've written books on the air and try to enlighten it. I would like it when I had time to read the book, which unfortunately there's not any of. But nonetheless, we're going to continue to do that. We're going to bring two authors on today, two women who wrote a book called Capitol Hell, Jane Jones and Alicia Long. And I've not read the book. My wife has glanced over it, but it's about things that happen inside the Beltway in Washington, the crazy antics, and they say it's something like the book The Devil Wears Prada. So, obviously the senator she works for must be a real jewel, to work for, Senator McDermott, the fictional character. So we're going to try to find out about this book. It's getting some publicity and some run. And I know you said it peaked out a couple of months ago, Tom, right. But still looking for different kind of books, not just, jock books or books about whatever, that everybody can enjoy. So hopefully this is particularly good for young women, because these are two women who actually went to Washington and worked there in Washington, and this is fictional and obviously semi-autobiographical. Jane Jones and Alicia Long, supposed to be rather a witty and amusing story, so we'll find out. We'll talk to them in the next hour and see what they have to say about that. Also, as I said, fatherhood, good subject. JJ, you got your dad's present picked out for the weekend?
No.
Okay, what are you thinking?
I have no idea.
Ball game tickets maybe or something?
You're really putting a lot of thought into this.
No, JJ. Father's Day is not that. It's not Mother's Day.
No, JJ, I figured that out.
But that's
my dad is easy to please. Is the point?
Okay, that's a different subject. Yeah. Okay, like you can just get him on
something stupid.
Just get him a tie. He'll be good.
No, not a tie. No,
I've probably bought him, 16, 17 ties over the years.
You're pretty good about taking him to dinner and stuff sometimes, things like that on his birthday. I know that.
Well,
Mom picks up.
You know what's great? Yeah, is whenever you take Father out,
Mom comes.
He pays for it anyways.
Well, there you go.
So that's how.
You got a good dad,
Hey.
What? Your father's no longer with us.
No.
Mine isn't either. I go visit my father every Father's Day.
Yeah, you told me that last year. You visit his grave. Yeah.
I go take him.
There's an idea for you.
I go take him a 6-pack of Schlitz and set it on the grave. So some homeless person's probably happy after I leave.
Yeah, you probably just don't leave 3. You just leave 3.
No, I don't. No, it's horrible beer. I don't know how you ever drink it.
I didn't know they still. They made Schlitz.
I know there's a little store in Panama in the Panama neighborhood area of Jacksonville that still carries.
You got to go to Panama to get your beer.
No,
man?
it still carries it to this day. My dad, of course, is at Evergreen Cemetery right there, the large cemetery right in downtown Jacksonville. So
yeah. Well, I think it's just a good time to think about dads. As a dad, I don't really care if anybody gives me a present. I'll be honest with you. What do I mean? I like T-shirts or something. That's some underwear, whatever. That's what I always say. I don't really care. I don't want my kids to spend money on me. But it's nice to get a card or a phone call. And I think a good time to talk about dads and a good time for dads to kind of step back and say, what kind of a dad have I been? Because every dad feels like he was deficient in many areas. I don't care how hard you try, you just come up short. You do things that you think are right at the time. You think, was I smart in doing that? Was I too easy? Was I too hard? Was I there for my daughter when she needed me, my son when he needed me? Out working. The biggest one for most dads is they're spending so much time working. They don't get a chance to really be with the families as much as they would like to, or the families would like to. And that's hard. For working class families, that's a difficult one. But it's a good time to think about the institution of fatherhood, and in particular the one that I'm quite frankly a little bit aggravated about the image that's been put out there about dads. We talked about this, and I get that it's kind of the cool thing to put the authority figure down, and it's certainly the father's note, those best images is over and gone with, and not that we can't be criticized, but I got some information here from a really good article on why fatherhood matters. And it's written by Stephen March in Esquire, and the subtitle is "Because Society Crumbles Without Us." And he goes on to say this story. Since 1965, according to the new research from Pew Research Center, you know what that is. They always have a lot of great research there. The amount of time fathers spend with their children has nearly tripled since 1965. Now, I was a dad in 1965, and I can tell you that certainly mine has tripled, and I still don't spend enough time with them. But the fact is that that young unmarried men, they want children really more than unmarried women do, according to the stats. They want children. Not only they want children.
I don't know about that.
Well, that's the score. Maybe you might not be in that group.
No, I'm definitely.
But the majority of the study shows from Pew that more young men want children than women. And another study shows that they not only want children, but they become more depressed and jealous when they don't have them. Just stats I'm giving you here. So the author goes on to talk about how fatherhood is gaining an overwhelming significance in the lives of men, but remains widely mocked in pop culture. Now, we agree on that, don't we?
Yes.
And said he says, fathers on TV come in two principal varieties, Mr. Mom and Fat Pig.
There's no in between.
Yeah. The most popular shows of the past 30 years have all been about family and have a failed dad at the center of it. The "You Are a Fat Pig" is Homer Simpson.
Yes.
Homer Simpson, a man who worships a waffle stuck in the ceiling. But the pure expression is probably Family Guy's Peter Griffin. I don't watch that show, Jay. Is that true?
Yeah, well, he's, a fat pig, but he's a family man, though.
Yeah.
Peter Griffin cares about his children.
Yeah, except Meg.
They don't care about him a whole lot.
Yeah.
But
well, he calls him, obviously, he has a lot of gas, apparently. A mentally handicapped narcissist whose subsidiaries amount to $1 billion in revenue, it says right here. It says the Mr. Mom type was defined by the defeated, awkward, confounded Raymond on Everybody Loves Raymond, okay?
That is the defeated dad, man. He was perfect for that. And his mom controlled everything. His wife yelled at him all the time. He was like an idiot. All
right, so now we got that. Now we've got the new one on Modern Family, right? I don't watch Modern Family, but apparently embodied by Phil Dunphy. Yeah, he says, I think of him as a Labrador Retriever type, big, dumb, and cheerful. So
he is always in a good mood. And though, I'm in the middle of watching a show again for the umpteenth time, watching it from beginning to end, because it's running on HBO Signature. And when this show was on, the dad in this show was always getting bad press for his job, Tony Soprano. And of course,
Tony deserved a little bad press.
His job was a terrible job. He's a leader of an organized crime family.
Yeah, that's not what you call Mr. Boy Scout.
But when you were at home, the family, they still had dinner at home every night. Mm-hmm. The kids were expected to be there at 6:30 for the sit-down meal. Dad sat at one end of the table. Mom sat at the other end of the table. They talked to the kids. The whole premise of the show was terrible, but that one dinner segment that they would have dinner every night actually was how it was when we were kids. Dad sat at the table. Mom sat at the table. You sat at the table. You all talked. And there's a show on TV now like that ends. It ends every show with the family sitting down, saying a blessing,
what is it?
saying grace, and talking.
And what is it?
Duck Dynasty.
Oh, you forgot. You should have said Blue Bloods.
Blue Bloods does the same thing. You're entirely correct. With grandfather and with great grandfather and
3 generations,
right.
and both of the son, the daughter, the grandkids
are
all there.
That's
and
right.
that to me, that show's lasted quite a while. And CBS put it on Friday night. They didn't think much of it, obviously.
I know.
But you know what? That's become a really good show.
It really is.
And as, you know what? Despite the violence of being a cop down in New York City, and you don't always have to have a body in 30 seconds on that show.
They don't. But the shows that get people are laughing at Duck Dynasty. Oh, it's a terrible show about Hicks in Louisiana. But if you
Which
notice,
it is, by the way.
But if you notice, they always talk about faith. They always talk about family, and
values.
The show always has some sort of value to it. They're showing their kids how to act in life.
Yeah, I watched it once. That's probably won't watch it again, but a lot of people do watch it. Let me finish up with this fatherhood thing. Calling the writer, we got the mayor coming up in just a moment. The writer says talked about fatherhood, and he says 41% of births involved unmarried women, compared with 28% in 1990. So there's a lot of fatherlessness, as he calls it. He says a real crisis, even as fatherhood gains its wild significance. Fatherlessness as a condition has been linked with virtually, listen to this, every social ill you can name. Young men who grow up without a father are twice as likely to end up in jail. 63% of youths who commit suicide are from fatherless homes, and 71% of high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. Okay? So the article goes on to state what these connections mean, particularly whether fatherlessness is a symptom of poverty or a cause, is the subject of a complex debate. Neither political party is willing to deal with the consequences of these connections. So it's right there, Tom.
I
you
agree
like
with
numbers, the stats are right there. That it's pretty doesn't mean it's direct cause of it, but the stats show the likelihood of trouble in a young person's life increases without a father or father figure. And even if you're a stepdad or whatever, a male authority figure in the family, according to the stats now, makes a difference in the quality of their lives. All right?
I would agree with that 100%.
Time to take time out. The mayor's coming in. He wants to talk about baseball and not the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm just guessing it has something to do with pinstripes. And I'll talk to him about, speaking of pinstripes, his 3-piece suit.
Zombie.
You think he'll do it?
I don't.
I'm saying it's even money if we can talk the mayor into actually being a zombie for charity. All right?
Oh, well, for charity.
Maybe we can raise some money.
Maybe we can raise money.
We can raise some money to get him dressed like a zombie. Then for the movies World War Z, that'd be good. We'll take a break. Come back and talk to the mayor after this time out on
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
Having the motivation and making the commitment to quit smoking is a great first step towards becoming smoke-free. However, anyone who's tried to quit smoking knows how challenging it can be. Having the determination to quit may not be enough. You may need some help. If you're ready to quit smoking and are between the ages of 18 and 75, currently smoke 10 or more cigarettes a day, and can commit to participating for 24 weeks, you may be interested in a research study which is being conducted to evaluate the use of investigational drugs to see if they can aid individuals in their quest to quit smoking. To help you quit, smoking cessation counseling and all study-related medical care will be provided at no extra cost. You may also be reimbursed for your travel time. To receive more information about this study, how you can participate, please call Rinstar Medical Research in Ocala at 352-629-5800. That's Rinstar Medical Research in Ocala, 352-629-5800. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And so is State Farm agent Angie Lewis, working hard to serve her community as a citizen and insurance agent. Angie wants to help you as you adjust your insurance needs to your life. From everything to helping educate your teen driver to protecting your family against everyday risk. She wants to change the way you perceive insurance by developing relationships with her clients, which is why Angie and her staff are proud to be a part of so many good causes in Ocala. In turn, she has chosen to single out those who step up as leaders. Each month on The Voice of Ocala, Angie spotlights a good neighbor, saluting those who give exceptional service or do random acts of kindness to others. For this,
Angie was written up in State Farm's National Magazine. Angie also supports local businesses with a regular Biz Buzz. The Angie Lewis State Farm Agency is located at 1122 Northeast 36th Avenue, where visitors are always welcome and the coffee pot is always on. Call your good neighbor's State Farm agent today, Angie Lewis, at 294-2444.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram, CEO of Gateway Bank, inviting you to drop by our main office on Silver Springs Boulevard every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for the Community Gazette, a 3-hour show focusing on our favorite community to live and work, Ocala, Marion County. Come join us with the voice of Ocala, Buddy Martin, in the new old-fashioned bank radio studio as we discuss a variety of interesting topics on the Community Gazette on WOCA, The Source.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're ocalaforsale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to ocalaforsale.com. License and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Phoenix Promotional Solutions, your company supplier of banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Where you give them approved artwork by noon, the next day by 4 p.m., you pick up your banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404. That's 368-2404. Don't forget, they do vehicle wraps also. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404.
Hi, I'm Russ with Climate Control Mechanical Services, and I want to invite you to tune in every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. to listen for tips and answers to the many questions you may have about your air conditioning and heating for your home or business. The Climate Control Show, every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. right here on WOCA, 1370 a.m. and 96.3 FM, The Source.
This is Don with ABC Fredericks Appliance. Here's my daughter, Lena.
And hey everybody, it's Lena. You need to come down to ABC Fredericks Appliance on County Road 25, just over the railroad tracks in Bellevue, where you are treated right with the right products like Whirlpool, Maytag, Crosley, and Speed Queen. These are the new ones. Don't forget, we also carry used appliances that we warranty. ABC Fredericks Appliance does repairs too. Call us at 629-5181. ABC Fredericks Appliance on County Road 25, just over the railroad tracks in Bellevue. It's at 629-5181.
You make angels cheer 'cause we're together. Weather-wise, it's such a lovely day.
All right, welcome back to the program on a Wednesday. It's hump day. It's getting hot. You can feel the weather is getting warm. You can feel the dampness is starting to come in. The final days of spring, kind of get down to the summer. You just have to, when you live in Florida, you live in Ocala, you have to embrace the summer as best you can. Of course, it's hot. But you have to look for other things to do, and a cool air conditioning to read, or maybe go to the beach, or just find a way to get yourself a favorite drink of the summer, whatever that is, and have a little celebration once a day and get a little cool drink of some sort. If you're from the South, you might call it a cold drink. If you're from the Northeast, you might call it a pop soda, which is what we had a conversation yesterday about that. But with us is the man of the hour, the guy who is shed his coat off. You know it's hot when the mayor is taking off his coat. The guy steps out of GQ every morning. Good-looking blue striped shirt, though, and I love the tie. And, I bet you they send a car for you at Grinders where you guys bring a limo off for you. They should.
No.
So, but how you doing, Mayor?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Doing good. Just trying to stay cool.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
It's a challenge, but,
When does the mayor take any time off, by the way?
When I go to sleep at night.
I see you quite often, probably 2 or 3 times a week. And if you don't have your phone to the ear, you got somebody grabbing you by the sleeve, and
sure,
you're talking to somebody, and you've been the all-access mayor, that's for sure.
It's part of the job.
Going to some function, or I told somebody the other night about the big scandal that was happened out at the golf course when we had the Mother's Day concert. And you wore jeans. People wanted to actually get photographs of you.
I had shorts.
Oh, shorts. I'm sorry. Shorts. That's right.
Yeah.
Shorts, yeah.
I wore the appropriate attire, too.
You did? Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wear a suit out there.
Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about baseball.
Okay.
And by the way, I see that this idea of using sales tax money for projects has caught fire. The sheriff had the idea to do it now. I see he's going to try to get half-cent sales tax to get money to refurbish his department, which he says is, got some wear and tear on it, and the vehicles and some salaries and whatever. It's everybody wants the tax dollars, obviously.
Sure.
And what is your view? We talked about this some on first of all, how are things going in discussions with the county and the concept of the stadium and the minor league baseball team coming there?
Well, shortly, maybe sooner rather than later, we were going to come out and meet with the county and get a list of projects that they wanted to include. Then this story came out the other day, and there was just a lot of confusion about what was going on. I think everybody was caught off guard by it. So that's kind of where we are. So I think
which one are you referring to? Which story?
There was a story recently about, I think the Sukar put out about the sales tax.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah,
and
it was. Yes, we talked to one of the councilmen about that.
Right.
He said he was caught off. Councilman McLeod said he didn't didn't know anything about it. Really,
Right,
he was
right.
trying to answer it as best he could without having any knowledge of it.
Correct.
So that's the one you talk about.
Correct.
Okay.
And so we'll do that here shortly. There are a number of projects at the baseball stadium. I know Commissioner Zalek had been talking about some type of civic center, convention center would probably seat about 2,000 to 3,000 with breakout rooms, et cetera. That's something we've been talking about probably, since the 80s or late 80s, early 90s. Our friend Augie Greiner, kind of headed that committee up to look into that. So, that's been a discussion topic for a long, long time. And I know that Sheriff Blair, needs to replace, some cars, but everyone needs to remember that sales tax referendum can't be used for salaries. It's just for bricks and mortar cars.
Good point.
Can't be used for that. I know we talk about. My wife's a teacher. We talk about using tax dollars or sales tax money to pay teachers, and I know that some people say, well, how can you vote for a sales tax when we wouldn't vote for an ad valorem tax to help fund teachers and everything? I get all that, I understand that, but this money can't be used for salaries, whether it's teachers, sheriff officers, police department, whoever it may be. It's got to be used for bricks and mortars and automobiles. I believe. Pretty certain it could be used for that, just not salaries. So we need to keep that in mind. But that's
a great point.
Yeah, but because there's been a lot of confusion on that. So we'll meet with the county, ask them to put it on the October 15th ballot. That'll be the city council election referendums, but it'll be a countywide election, so everybody can come out. And vote yay or nay. And all we are asking, we're not imposing the sales tax on anyone. We are just simply asking the question, what do you want to do with your own money? You vote on it. It's your money. You decide. And we're just giving the citizens a chance to decide, do you want this stadium? Do you want the Yankees here? In the future it could be some other team down the road. But it'd be our stadium. We can have probably about 20-plus events there in addition to the games. It will be a good thing for Ocala, a very good thing. And because it's there, other people have stated interest in that they want to be around that. Can't tell you who it is yet, but
so you're saying it's drawing other businesses, somewhat almost like a shopping mall would in some regard. In
correct.
Terms of,
Sure.
So there'll be more activity.
Sure.
And so the development of the area would be tied around that as well.
Oh, sure.
Okay. So now, what kind of campaign is being launched? This is what you're talking about.
Right.
To clarify to the people, because Kent, we've been saddled up together for a year and a half on the Marion Theater, and we know till this day people still don't get it.
Yeah.
And they still don't know that Marion is open, has first-run movies. So how in the world is this message going to be delivered? As soon as you say the T word, tax, everybody shuts it down.
Absolutely.
No matter what it is, they shut it down.
You're
so
absolutely right.
Then how do you get over that hump? And have you done any polling? Has anybody done any polling to see how the people feel about it? Because the moment you say tax and dollars, they don't want to hear how you get the money.
Right.
It's like, no, we don't want to spend that money.
Yeah, there has been some polling done. There will be some more polling done. But when we get this, when the county commission agrees to put it on the ballot, then there will be a large campaign throughout the community for 90 days prior to the election, because we have to do this at least 90 days prior to the election. We've got to give it to Wesley Wilcox to put on the ballot. So there'll be a large campaign. I know that I spoke to a lot of folks that are parents, or the leadership in some of the Cal Ripken League, Scott Kerrigan League, some of those other folks that are in leadership over there, and explained to them, we want to have a real big campaign for this, and so I need to get you involved. It would be just like any political campaign. It would be yard signs, it would be billboards, it would be mailers, it would be, on and on, to get the word out, get the message out, to support, the sales tax referendum. And it won't just be, the baseball stadium. As I said, there will be other items on the agenda. Silver Springs, I know, has been one of them that they've talked about putting
Horse
on.
Park has been, although Horse Park got some money recently.
Horse Park got $2 million. I'm going to a meeting tomorrow with, I think, I don't know if Commissioner Putnam, Agriculture Commissioner, is going to be there, but they're rolling out that and the board's deciding what to do with that $2 million. That the Horse Park is moving in the right direction. So. But yes, there will be a campaign. There has to be. And like you said, I know you've said this over and over, you got to tell them, 10, 15 times before people really, understand exactly what it is. You and I talk about it, and we just kind of take it for granted. Everybody knows what we're talking about. No. But they don't, and it's not their fault that they don't. It's our job.
It's just they're not paying attention. I mean, we say, by the time you're tired of hearing yourself talk about it, the public's hearing it for the first time.
Exactly.
And you got to be. Unfortunately, you have to keep repeating it as much as you hate to. I just don't know about this. Would I like to see the baseball stadium? Absolutely. Would I vote for it? Absolutely. Do I think the public would vote for it? I don't know. Yeah. I'm dubious about that. And I guess we all have, but you seem to be enthusiastic about it. You know stuff we don't know. But one final point I want to make before Tom has a quick question, but is that one of the problems I have with government,
right,
is that they do too many things behind closed doors despite the Sunshine Law, or they don't want to tell what they know.
Right.
And when you do that, you don't bring the public into play. You and I have been a part of another committee, we won't bring up what it is,
right,
who didn't want to go public with what they were doing. Today they're paying a price for it, because this ship is sailing them right past them because they didn't want to tell the public about it. And
right,
you've got to bring the public in as a partner, and you've got to tell them what's going on. And politicians who keep doing this are going to learn one day you can't operate in the shadows.
Right.
You've got to be out there talking about it, telling the people, or they're going to vote it down.
Right. Yeah, and that's what the purpose of that meeting with the county commissioners is going to be. We're going to get together. Okay, here's the list. Now let's go public with it. Let's talk about it. Let's get everybody involved. Have meetings, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to have to do that sooner than later. Yeah, I get all that. We're sometimes bound by the Sunshine Law. We're sometimes bound by, economic development projects that have code names and things like that.
I know there's also non-disclosures that you got. But still, you do come on the radio and you do ask questions and you do talk. There's some people who don't even want to do that. Tom, what's your question?
Yes.
My question is, when you go on this campaign...
Your microphone needs to be turned up. Yeah.
But now, is it better now?
No. We can hear you.
Like the Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, right.
Well, is it not working?
No.
I can hear you.
We can hear you, but the public can't. Here. Swing the microphone around over here. He's only the producer.
No, it was turned on. I can't help faulty equipment.
Okay.
My question is during this campaign, are you going to be able to, do you think, accurately make the distinction between, I know you'll try, but will the public grasp the distinction between what, because I was talking to somebody 2 days ago about maybe building a stadium. They were like, we'll need something cost $300 million, because that's what you always think. When you think stadiums, you think major league stadiums, and we're not talking about that kind of expenditure.
No, we'll be very clear about that. It's not $300 million. I think Yankee Stadium costs $1.2 billion, but no, it'd be probably about about 35 million, something like that, with everything.
And there'll be a sunset on the tax, so that after a certain number, 5 years, whatever it would be.
Yeah, I think it'd be 5
10,
years.
whatever
Depends
it is.
on how many projects you put in there.
Yeah.
If you put the baseball stadium, Silver Springs, the Civic Center, and threw in some money for sheriff cars, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And now here's the other thing. I brag on my county commissioner friends. They have a great track record of having sales tax referendums and working. We did pennies for parks a number of years ago. It began at a certain time. It ended at a certain time. The county bought a bunch of great parks. They're wonderful. We had one most recently for the Judicial Center and added on to the jail. It began at a certain time. It ended at a certain time. Judicial Center was on time, under budget.
Good record.
They've got a great record. They did exactly what they said they were going to do with the money. It began and it ended. This is the same thing. We would ask for it. We'd spell out in detail, this is what the money is going to be used for, and it would begin and it would end, and it'd be over with.
Well, so far, I only hear you and Daniel Owen coming out waving the flag. So let's see if anybody wants to do that. So as we get, somebody has to do something pretty soon.
I told Brad Rogers earlier I'm going to see him tomorrow. And I said, there's all these different subjects that are going on, and a lot of confusion. There's no really leadership, and no one's stepping forward to lead. So I said, what? I said, I'm the mayor. I'm going to step forward and lead. Right. And so he and I are going to meet tomorrow with Tom McNiff.
I don't know. I hope it's not 4 o'clock. That's when we have him on the show tomorrow.
No, it's 1:30.
He'll be on our show tomorrow with Country Club Ocala. Yeah. Well, we'll follow it. We'll ask him after you get through your meeting. Final 30 seconds.
Good.
Can we talk you into this thing with the zombie suit? You're the least likely zombie I could think of, but what a great thing. And Tito says if you give us a picture, he'll draw up makeup on with Photoshop you as a zombie and say, look, huh?
Sure, Tito will.
I don't know. Tell you, what do you think? Is it possible, doable? You're willing to think about it a little bit?
That's not doable.
Not doable?
It's like Giuliani in a dress, but he did. He actually did that.
See,
but he did it. No, one of my favorite mayors. But no, that's not going to happen.
If the right person comes up to you and talks to you and we're willing to write a check for charity, maybe for the Save the Marion, maybe you think about it at least. Huh?
That'd have to be some big money. That'd be like Frank DeLuca money for $1 million.
I think Ocala can speak. Just get your checks ready, folks. We got to see the mayor in a 3-piece zombie suit for sure. Kent, thanks for coming on. Anything else you got for your notes you want to get through? Is that it?
No, this is just somebody else's
note. All right, well, good luck on the campaign. Keep us in the loop, will you?
All right, thank you, buddy.
All right, Mayor Kent Gwynn, as always. Take a break, come back, finish up this first hour here on a kind of a warm Wednesday right here on the Voice of Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Hi, this is Buddy Martin. I want to tell you about a conversation I had recently with General Manager Pat Murray on the great family atmosphere at Country Club of Ocala.
It's a family-first club. Again, we have any number of different types of memberships, but obviously the one that attracts the greatest level of interest is our family. And the reason for that is we have a little something for everybody. We obviously have a world-class golf course. We have 7 tennis courts here for all levels of tennis players. We have a junior Olympic-sized swimming pool. We have a fitness center that's second to none, and we have state-of-the-art equipment in our fitness center.
Country Club of Ocala, where the facilities are all a family would ever need. For more information, call today at 352-237-6644. That's 352-237-6644. Country Club of Ocala, proud sponsor of Monday's Gator Report and Gator Talk Thursday right here on The Source.
Hello, I'm Dawn Lovell, lead event designer and owner at Party Time Rentals. Have you ever wondered what it takes to make an event spectacular? Well, look no further. It's what we do every day. Whether you're hosting an intimate dinner for 10 or a gala for thousands, at Party Time Rentals, we find just the right style and elegance to make your event a success. Our extensive inventory of the finest in chandeliers, tents, crystal, china, and specialty items is featured in our fabulous showroom. Stop by and say hello. It's a great way to get ideas for an event and experience for yourself how you can make your party time special.
Party Time Rentals, located on Southwest 10th Street, just off Route 200 in Ocala, and off Southwest 34th Street in Gainesville. For more information, call 352-629-8858. That's 352-629-8858. The party begins at Party Time.
On the next AM Ocala Live, Robin and I will be speaking to Dr. Kevin C. Greenridge. He's a fellowship-trained, board-certified ophthalmologist specializing in glaucoma. He's coming on to tell us about the early detection and treatment of glaucoma and successful surgeries in infants.
Open for debate, where both sides of one issue will be debated.
And then Hank Whittier will be in the studio bringing you veterans news as he does each and every Thursday.
Susanna Charleston is a flight instructor and a service dog trainer. She's written a book called The Possibility Dogs. What a handful of unadoptables taught her about service, hope, and healing.
And then the guys from Climate Control Mechanical Services will be telling us what they do in our homes and our offices to make sure the air we breathe is cool, healthy, and odor-free.
Dr. Jans Brow is a board-certified radiation oncologist, and he's also the medical director of the Florida Regional Cancer Centers. He will be addressing all of your cancer questions and concerns.
All of that plus fun with Joe on the next AM Ocala Live right here on The Source, WOCA 96.3 FM.
1370 AM.
Phoenix Promotional Solutions, your company supplier of banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Where you give them approved artwork by noon, the next day by 4 p.m., you pick up your banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404. That's 368-2404. Don't forget, they do vehicle wraps also. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404.
Hi, I'm Russ with Climate Control Mechanical Services, and I want to invite you to tune in every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. to listen for tips and answers to the many questions you may have about your air conditioning and heating for your home or business. The Climate Control Show, every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. right here on WOCA, 1370 a.m. and 96.3 FM, The Source.
Babe, won't it be fine? Best is yet to come the day you're mine. Come the day you're mine. I'm gonna teach you to fly.
All right, Mayor got out of here without asking him about this, but we want to point out that this was and he did address it off the air, so he's leaving to go meet with downtown with
He's
some
going to
folks.
meet with the chief of police.
Yeah, I'm not sure you wanted that out there, but that's okay. Anyway, we talked about a story that you mentioned, Tom, on the news earlier. Officers called the Starbucks last night in Magnolia, and a victim told him he'd gotten out of the vehicle and was walking to his texting on his cell phone. Apparently, somebody punched him in the face. He fell on the ground. Another man took his wallet, stepped on his face. It says it's here, stepped on it. This is your copy. They both ran away. Victim was taken to a hospital for evaluation. Call the police department if you know anything about this, 369-7000. On Friday, we're going to talk to the chief of police, and we'll have asked the cops, and we'll discuss that with him. 2 incidents now in the last 3 weeks. This is certainly not anywhere near as bad as the last one, but the mayor's not happy. He's concerned about what's going on. I know some people say, well, stuff's been going on all the time, but it seems like it's gotten worse in the last month, 6 weeks, and I don't think the chief of police and the mayor are going to tolerate it.
Well, let's just say from my standpoint, I have some good friends that work in the downtown area at some of the nightclubs, and I used to, on a Friday or Saturday night, would go down and enjoy the nightlife downtown. I have not been downtown to enjoy an evening downtown probably 2 months.
Well, you've had a lady friend, too, so it's a little different.
No, she would go downtown with me, too. But
we
now
don't go out as much as you used to.
No, we still go out Friday and Saturday nights. We just go to other places farther down Silver Springs Boulevard because there's less drama and less situations that may be deemed dangerous.
Yeah, I don't feel intimidated by that. I go down there I mean, this is going to happen. Look,
yeah, but you're not down there like I am, buddy. You're
no,
not down
I don't.
there at midnight.
I don't go down there until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So I mean, that's
that's what I'm trying to explain to you. Is it gets a little different after about 11 o'clock at night.
I told you guys nothing good happens after midnight. But I mean, I lived in New York City, walk the streets of New York City, all hours of the day and night. So I know about intimidation of the city. I'll not let that stop me from going to downtown Ocala. I can tell you that, even at midnight. But just one thing. I'm hopeful that this is going to stop. Let's stop too. Coming up next hour, we're going to talk about a book similar to Devil Wears Prada. Tell you all about Capitol Hill. Lots more coming your way next hour. Stay tuned on a very hot Wednesday, right here at the Voice of Ocala.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
It's embarrassing to drive.
Strike 2.
It costs too much to maintain.
Strike 3.
You owe more than it's worth.
You're out of there.
Hey, this is Chris Spears from Prestige Auto Sales. I'm celebrating two of America's favorite pastimes, baseball and driving.
So this week you can hit a grand slam.
I'm giving you a ton of cash off a nicer, newer car you'll love to drive.
Are you riding the bench because of bad credit? Our For the People credit approval process goes to bat with the banks and lenders to help you get approved and back in the game.
Join the major leagues and start driving a car you love.
Come see us during our Drive It Out of the Park event and get a ton of cash off a new ride.
Hurry, this game isn't going into extra innings. The stadium goes black after we've helped 57 people score a new ride. My name is Chris Spears, and I'm a dealer for the people.
Visit Prestige in Ocala or Bellevue, or call 694-1234. See you at Prestige.
Hi, this is Lisa Midget, owner of Kinetic Motion Fitness here in Ocala, Florida. A lot of you have experienced our great classes in personal small group training. But did you know we now offer dynamic workouts on DVD? These high-quality, locally produced, effective DVD workouts can go where you go. Going on vacation? No problem. We can go with you. Friends and relatives out of town who are jealous that you get to come to KMF? No problem. We ship anywhere in the United States for free. Our great lineup of 4 DVDs includes Kinetic Achieve, Kinetic Couples, Kinetic Core, and Kinetic Campus. 4 great workouts for the entire family on DVD. Sound interesting? Check them out on our website at kmfocala.com. While you're there, check out our class schedule and come see us. We're only 5 minutes from downtown across from the Skylark Plaza. Visit kmfocala.com and like us on Facebook. KMF will get you results at our studio or at home with one of our DVDs. Kinetic Motion Fitness. We're ready when you are. Visit kmfocala.com for more information.
If you need a sign or a banner for your yard or your business or your campaign, I'd recommend you go to Signs Unlimited at 318 South Magnolia in Ocala. Screen printing, embroidery, digital graphics. Do what I did when we needed signs for the Save the Marion Theater Group. Go see Vic Buttermore at Signs Unlimited if you want quality work with a fast turnaround from somebody who is deeply committed to his community and always ready to assist you. There's a reason Vic's slogan is, "It's our business to make your business better." Sign up for Signs Unlimited. Call 732-7341 today.
This is Don with ABC Fredericks Appliance. Here's my daughter, Lena.
And hey everybody, it's Lena. You need to come down to ABC Fredericks Appliance on County Road 25 just over the railroad tracks in Bellevue, where you are treated right with the right products like Whirlpool, Maytag, Crosley, and Speed Queen. These are the new ones. Don't forget, we also carry used appliances that we warranty. ABC Fredericks Appliance does repairs too. Call us at 629-5181. ABC Fredericks Appliance on County Road 25 just over the railroad tracks in Bellevue. It's at 629-5181.
I'm heading down to Daytona, where it all begins.
Hear that? You could be going down to Daytona for the hottest races this summer.
Where the track is really fast.
The Firecracker 250 on Friday, July 5th, and the Coke Zero 400 Saturday, July 6th.
Start the season even.
And all you have to do is register for your chance to win at the following location. Baseline Auto Sales, 2501 Southeast 58th Avenue on Baseline Road. Brick City Health and Fitness in the Pine Plaza on South Pine. And at the home games for the Ocala Stampede played at Trinity Catholic. Each sponsor will have 2 tickets for each race, and the drawings will be held Friday, June 28th. There's no obligation to enter, so you don't need to be present to win. And enter as often as you'd like. You're always a winner with WOCA The Source, and you could be...
Ocala Business Leaders Incorporated is a group of independent local firms providing a wide range of quality goods and services. Each firm strives to maintain the highest level of professional integrity and 100% customer satisfaction. When you're looking for goods and services, call a member of the Ocala Business Leaders, and we are confident you will be pleased with the results. If you are interested in becoming a member of the Ocala Business Leaders, join us at the Ocala Elks Lodge, 25th Avenue in Ocala, any Wednesday at 7 a.m. and enjoy a breakfast on us. For more information, call 804-3700.
What you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
As far as fish go, tilapia has very low levels of heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids, and this is important, it's high in unhealthy omega-6 fatty acids. Everything but your shorts should be washed after every workout, because body heat is going to reignite certain odors that get baked into our clothes after a gym visit. Women who wear a little makeup are perceived as more reliable, capable, and more likable.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
You're listening to WOCA News Talk 1370, Ocala's source for what's happening in today's hottest, up-to-date news and topics.
Do you know who the head of the National Security Administration is? Most people have never seen him, but General Keith Alexander went before a Senate committee today to talk about the government's access to your phone records and your email use. He says they don't want to snoop, just prevent a terrorist attack. Has anyone ever told you that you're high maintenance? Well, that may not be a bad thing, especially if it comes to dating. Glamour magazine says women who know what they want are more appealing to many men than those who appear needy. Pull them up. Town Council in Wildwood, New Jersey votes tonight on a ban on saggy pants. The mayor says penalties would start at $25 and could go up to $200. This is ABC News.
Jay Farner here with Quicken Loans. Here are two simple words that should make you reconsider waiting to buy a home. Buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, of around $1,350. With today's rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3.99%, APR 4.16%, that payment could support a $282,000 mortgage. But if you wait and rates tick up to around 6%, that same $1,350 mortgage payment, including principal and interest, may only be able to support a $215,000 mortgage. That's $67,000 worth of home that you're missing out on by waiting. That's buying power. And for 3 years in a row now, J.D. Power & Associates has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Give Quicken Loans a call today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com and maximize your buying power.
For J.D. Power & Associates award information, visit jdpower.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance calls. For cost information, equalizing lender license in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
I'm just sick of all the amateur stuff, you know? I mean, like, if I'm paying top dollar, I want a little production value, you know? Like some editing, transition, something, some music.
Don't worry. We didn't leave you.
He's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Our bosses say we gotta stay.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
Bow to your sensei. Bow to your sensei. It's time for the second hour of The Voice of Ocala. Hoo-ah!
You ever come across anything like time travel?
Come on. Stick around. It's free.
If you win, you win. If you lose, you still win.
All right, welcome to Hour 2 of the program, Voice of Ocala. Buddy Martin along with Tom Schmitz, JJ La Selva, and Sean Down Goes Frazier on a very toasty. Is it 90 yet, by the way?
No.
No, not yet. Okay, hovering on the high 90.
Remember.
But that's in the
that's
shade.
in the shade.
It was 89 when I came in here today at 3 o'clock, so I'm thinking it probably went to 90 before. So that means we're going to be getting to our usual pattern of summer rain showers at 3:30 to 4 o'clock every day. So that's going to be happening. So on the program today, we'll be talking to Jane Jones and Alicia Long on a book called Capitol Hell. It's apparently a book about a senator who was like the character in Devil Wears Prada. And it's about their venture into Washington as young girls and the antics behind the scenes at the Beltway. Now, I've not read the book, so we'll have to learn as we go along that. But in our attempt to have summer reads, we're going to have an author or two on from time to time and try to find some different kind of books. Sean Frazier is looking through the list of Amazon.com bestsellers. If you have a book you want to know about, you can always email me here, buddy@WOC.com, and we'll have Sean call the publishing house and the author. And by the way, don't we have some books to give away? I know we
gave one away yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. How many more we got?
I don't know. We'd have to ask Sean.
Don't we have
probably
to kind of keep tabs on it? Aren't we giving those folks away? These
well, I'm giving one away.
Apple Watch. Two is all we got.
Yeah,
we gave away 3 already, huh? Wow. Okay. Well, good. That's what they're for. Give it away. So coming up in this hour, as I said, we'll talk about that. Also, John Travolta taking some folks to the Marion Theater, not the Marion Theater, actually the theater, Regal 16. And also, we'll talk about that in just a moment. And the fact you can still win some tickets to the movie, The Killing Season. There's a way you can do that. And today I'm going to talk to a guy I'd never talked to before from SB Nation. You guys go on to SB Nation at all? Or
yes.
Ever see it?
JJ isn't fond of it, but I go there quite a bit.
I'm not really into the websites and things like that so much as I used to be since I worked for them for 4 years. But this particular article, and I think, JJ, you looked at it.
Yeah, this is good.
It's got some real analytics on Florida football that I've not seen anyplace else, breaking it down as to what went wrong, what happened, and what you can expect. And it's not all bad news, but it's an interesting take on things. I thought a little something different we could take on in sports. And JJ's got some unfortunate news, which we'll share
Sort
with
of. It's not as horrible.
Not as bad as you thought?
Right.
Hurricanes aren't going to get slapped with more probation? Or?
Well, you can never tell with the NCAA, man.
Yeah. So apparently,
we're going on year 8 of this investigation.
Yeah, it's kind of like a big, dark cloud over Coral Gables, It just seems to go away. So
you want to talk about dark clouds? This surveillance problem ain't getting any better.
Well, I mean, did you expect it to?
Well, General Keith Alexander, the director of the secret National Security Agency, he went in front of Congress today and says, look, this kind of surveillance we've been doing protects Americans. We aren't trying to hide it, huh? And then he said, here's what he said. He said, the question isn't whether this guy's a whistleblower or not, or whether we did anything wrong, because the law says we didn't. What I have great concerns over is how a 29-year-old high school dropout hired as a government contractor was able to gain access to sensitive information. The process that led to him being hired, talking about Edward Snowden, needs to be reviewed. So now all of a sudden, it's not about them snooping on us, buddy. No. It's that they shouldn't have hired Edward Snowden.
Yeah. It's like when politicians, you ask them a question, they answer something else. Let's get back to the issue, the fact that we're spying on
your own people.
On our own people. Let's not lose sight of that, okay? You can deal with your law and your laws and whatever you want to do later. The fact is, it's not right. And typically, this guy, the NSA chief, saying, it's for our good. Well, you know what? Let's put a camera in every home then.
Well, he says everything depends on trust. Yeah. We did not see a trade-off between security and liberty. This is General Keith Alexander.
Like we're going to trust the government?
Yeah. In a prepared statement, guess what he didn't discuss? Guess what he didn't talk about in his prepared statement? The leak, because he doesn't want to do that. He addressed broadly the issue of balancing privacy and national security. We operate in a way that ensures we keep the trust of the American people because the trust is a sacred requirement.
Well, you just
How's he got my trust?
Yeah, he just lost mine, I can tell you that.
And they were like, well, it's kept from attacks from being... Oh, did it keep from attack? I think the people in Boston would say that your system of snooping failed, pal.
Yeah, I'd say. Let's talk about the deficiencies in our ability to identify people who are going to be terrorists.
Yeah.
That might be a good place to start.
If you're snooping, at least do something accurate with your snooping.
If you're snooping, how about getting the guys that blew up the Boston Marathon?
And before they blew it up.
Yeah, really ridiculous. So it's... Anyway, that's one that's going to go on for a while. There'll be many hearings. I just see where I just saw this a while ago. CIA director resigned.
It wasn't the director. It's the second in command, wasn't it?
I don't know. It said my bulletin said CIA director resigns. I'm not sure. I have to look at the information on that.
Let me go look. I had it right here. But yeah, somebody high up in the CIA deputy director.
Yeah, deputy director?
He's the deputy director, not the director. He's
doesn't say why.
The next one. It says that he resigns, and then the AP story says that they are saying it was not a resignation, it was more of a retirement. Didn't we hear that recently? Yeah. Didn't the Ohio State University president retire? But because they told him to retire, you're out of here.
I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see some heads rolling in the White House, in his administration at some point. Somebody's going to pay for this. There's no question about it. So anyway, let's talk about something a little bit more pleasant real quickly. The little girl, I guess she's being under surgery now. Apparently, one waiting for a lung to be donated. They told her she couldn't because she was 10 years old. Sarah Murnigan. Apparently got a judge's order and is on the transplant list and got her new lung. and supposedly is in surgery now, 10-year-old, to get new lungs, cystic fibrosis she has. Now, whether or not that takes, cystic fibrosis is not something you can assume is just, easy to treat, obviously. But the new lungs, I understand they're adult lungs. And how they're going to cut those lungs down, I don't know. That's going to be interesting. And then you got all the issues the next 48 hours of rejection and what have you. But some of the people are saying they're not in favor of that because she was a 10-year-old girl and some other adult didn't get the lungs because of it. I don't know. Why don't we start back where we used to start when things like this, when there's some issue of a young child, that we're all involved in emotionally. Why shouldn't we give her priority? I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. I know that people who are waiting for lungs don't feel that way. I can appreciate that. But anyway, we'll see what happens here. At least she got the order that she has apparently got the lung, and the surgery is being performed with this 10-year-old girl. So we'll let you know what we hear before we go off the air about that. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about a summer read. And also, don't forget, John Travolta wants to take Marion County to the movies. We'll tell you about that next hour as well. And the world's oldest man has died. Tell you about that also coming up in the next 45 minutes right here on the Voice of Ocala.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source. This reprise of Ask the Cops is proudly brought to you by Daniel L. Hightower, PA, lawyer, fighting for accident victim justice since 1976.
My question is, how many motorcycle patrolmen are working right now between the police department and the county, and how many are there?
The police department has 6 traffic officers who ride motorcycles. It is a specialized assignment. It's always the same 6, and they're highly trained on how to handle that motorcycle and in traffic law investigation and enforcement. I'm not sure how many the sheriff has.
Yeah, we have around 4. It's the same here. I mean, they're specially trained. They're assigned to a traffic unit. I have a sergeant over top of that unit. I had a lieutenant, but when I took office, I went ahead and made a change and put that lieutenant in a district, and so now the sergeant heads that unit. And we have motorcycles. They could be in cars too, so it depends on them, depends on the weather conditions.
Since 1976, Daniel L. Hightower, a lawyer, has been fighting for accident victim justice in North Central Florida and statewide. He believes everyone in America should follow the rules, including the insurance companies. He and his firm have experience fighting for victims of personal injury, wrongful death, workers' compensation, and Social Security disability, as well as serving those in need of help with bankruptcy, simple wills, and estate plans. The mission at the law offices of Daniel L. Hightower, PA, is to represent deserving clients and recover the maximum benefits they are entitled to by law in a timely manner. In personal injury and workers' compensation cases, there are no fees or costs unless a recovery is made. The law office of Daniel L. Hightower is located at 7 East Silver Springs Boulevard, Suite 300. For your free consultation, call 352-629-7777 or 1-888-LAW-1976 and visit danhightower.com for more information. Daniel L. Hightower, PA, lawyer, fighting for accident victim justice, and the proud sponsor of Ask the Cops.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram, CEO of Gateway Bank, inviting you to drop by our main office on Silver Springs Boulevard every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for the Community Gazette, a 3-hour show focusing on our favorite community to live and work, Ocala, Marion County. Come join us with the voice of Ocala, Buddy Martin, in the new old-fashioned bank radio studio as we discuss a variety of interesting topics on the Community Gazette on WOCA, The Source.
1370 WOCA.
Lance, you gotta hear that.
What?
When I call Devon Self-Storage at 873-0777, they answer the phone always so happy.
Always?
Here, listen.
Thank you for calling Devon Self-Storage. This is John. How may I help you today?
George.
What?
You hung up.
Of course. I know all about Devon Self-Storage across from Hobby Lobby and 200 and how you can store just about anything there and you have your own code to get in. I just want to hear him answer the phone again.
Again?
Well.
Yes, George, yes.
On the next AM Ocala Live, Robin and I will be speaking to Dr. Kevin C. Greenridge. He's a fellowship-trained, board-certified ophthalmologist specializing in glaucoma. He's coming on to tell us about the early detection and treatment of glaucoma and successful surgeries in infants.
Open for debate, where both sides of one issue will be debated.
And then Hank Whittier will be in the studio bringing you veterans news as he does each and every Thursday.
Susanna Charleston is a flight instructor and a service dog trainer. She's written a book called The Possibility Dogs: What a Handful of Unadoptables taught her about service, hope, and healing.
And then the guys from Climate Control Mechanical Services will be telling us what they do in our homes and our offices to make sure the air we breathe is cool, healthy, and odor-free.
Dr. J. Brow is a board-certified radiation oncologist, and he's also the medical director of the Florida Regional Cancer Centers. He will be addressing all of your cancer questions and concerns.
All of that plus fun with Joe on the next AM Ocala Live right here on The Source, WOCA 96.3 FM.
1370 AM.
In Clark, we trust.
Hi, this is Clark Howard. Join me every weeknight at 6, right here on WOCA 1370, The Source.
Hello? Can you hear me? Because if you can, then so can your customers. Radio works. Call today to advertise your business right here on WOCA 1370, The Source.
The heart of the county. We're WOCA, News Talk 1370.
I watched them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know.
We're trying to find some summer reads for you, and we've been pouring through our emails and websites and what have you, and we came across a book which we think you might be interested in called Capitol Hell, written by Jane Jones and Alicia Long. And I got to admit up front, I have not had a chance to read the book. My wife has scanned some excerpts and what have you from Amazon.com. I know the plot of, and I'll be able to speak to that, but the person who can speak to it is Jane Jones, who's on the phone with us now. I believe Alicia Long was supposed to be on, the co-author, but we haven't been able to reach her. But let's just say hello to Jane Jones. Hi, Jane. Buddy Martin here.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you, and I apologize in advance of not being able to read the book before I get you on as an author.
Oh, boo!
Yeah, I know. I'm an author myself, and I do talk shows, and I appreciate people who do the research. But sometimes it's a matter of getting you on now or not getting you on, so we chose to have you on before we read the book. But I know a little bit about Capitol Hell, H-E-L-L, and the fact that it's all about what happens inside the Beltway and the crazy things and Senator McDermott and what have you. And as the piece says in the release, somewhat like the devil wears Prada. Now, are you or is Alicia from South Dakota?
Alicia's from South Dakota. I'm from Minnesota.
Okay. I'm just going to go on a shot here saying this is semi-autobiographical, since the two of you went to Washington and have had some experiences. Talk about why you decided to write Capitol Hell.
You know, we actually both spent time working. We met working on a campaign. We decided to venture off to D.C. together after we picked the right horse in the race. And, you know, just like the two characters in the book, Janet and Allison, Janet hails from Minnesota, Allison hails from South Dakota. So there's the J and the A connection, you know. And so some folks have said it's based on our real-life experiences. We like to say a good girl never kisses and tells. And we just thought there were so many stories that happened to us in D.C., along with other congressional staffers, that it was time to share a little bit of humor and fun from inside the Beltway to outside the Beltway.
Well, obviously, it's done quite well. It's won 5 National Book Awards and it was 2013 Fiction Book of the Year. So tell me about some of how it parallels the real life in Capitol Hill.
Oh, Lord. I think, you know, a lot of people have told us that the book really showcases how all the personalities don't fit, and the egos don't fit inside the Capitol Dome, inside the Senate office. And, you know, I think that folks would be surprised by the requests of what staffers do for family members of the senator, and all the shenanigans that happen, and that, you know, you're doing the senator's laundry 1 minute, the next minute, you know, you might be walking the Senate office dog. There's actually staffers who their sole responsibility is to carry around the senator's purse all day.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask you a favor. We're having a terrible connection here. If you're on a cell phone, or can we call you right back, because we're not able to hear everything you're saying? If it's okay, we'll hang up and JJ will call you right back, and we'll continue our conversation, all right? Thank you, Jane. Sure. Jane Jones, co-author of Capitol Hell. As I said, it's a book about inside the Beltway, and obviously they've had some personal experiences. We're going to try to also continue to reach Alicia Long, the co-author of that. She's one from South Dakota. Well, you know, it's obviously art imitating life. You know, there's always some crazy thing happening inside Washington, inside the Beltway, so we'll get her take on that. And I think we've got Jane back on the phone now. Is this you, Jane?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you very much. What'd you say, Tom? Sorry.
I think the connection's on this end. I think the problem's on this end.
Oh, okay, good. All right, well, we apologize for the problem we're having on our end. Okay, so this is supposed to be a crazy, wild, funny book, okay?
Juicy and sassy, I like to say.
Yeah, and sassy. And if it is like the Devil Wears Prada, then obviously the main character is not a nice person.
The Senator McDermott in the book is a fictional senator from Minnesota. He's a real walk in the park, so to speak.
So how long were you two in Washington before you decided to do this fictional book?
Yeah, great question. We actually both used to work in the Senate for between 5 and 6 years. I came back to Minnesota to work for the Plenty administration. Alicia came back to go to law school, and we were sitting on my couch 4 years ago, and we decided to put pen to paper and started, telling the stories that we knew about. And every time we told a story, people would laugh about, what actually went on and happened.
Well, it's almost like the crazy stories you read about Florida. You can't believe they actually happened. What they say is, it's stranger than fiction. So,
right. I can only imagine what a Florida Senate office would be like.
Yeah, exactly.
Minnesota's pretty tame.
Oh, exactly. So, you've had the inside look at gridlock. In the American public,
Lord.
you know what it's like out here. You're from Middle America. Okay, you know what it's like. People say, well, what is going on with those crazy people in Washington? Why can't they ever agree on anything? Why can't we do something about our problems? What's the gridlock like in Washington? And to your thinking, are there really a lot of honest, good folks trying to get the right thing done, or are there a bunch of doofuses up there? What's going on?
I think I worked in the Senate, 4 years ago. Times were different then than they are now. I teach political science at Concordia, and I tell my students right now, this is the worst I've ever seen it. It's kind of like both political camps. So the extreme right and the extreme left are dictating what's going on in D.C., which is absolutely nothing, because it's so partisan. It's so stick in the mud of, it's my way or the highway. There's absolutely zero compromise, and they're getting nothing done. But you got to have a little give and take in order to, move legislation. It's a three-legged stool. You got the president who's Democrat, you got the Senate who's Democrat, you got the House Republicans. But you know what? That three-legged stool's got to work together to make someone be able to sit.
We're talking with Jane Jones, co-author of Capitol Hill. This is Tom Schmitz. Now, I know some people. I had some fraternity brothers that worked in representatives' offices out of Georgia for a couple years in Washington, and they talked about that it was really an extension of their college days. Is there any truth to that?
I think Alicia would tell you more than that. That it felt like college to her. I mean, I think there's a lot of boozing, there's a lot of partying happening after work hours. I was just an innocent girl from Minnesota. I worked my fanny off until 11 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. Where I think other folks they're having a good time.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us the things that you think we should know about politics in Washington that we don't know, and how should we go about finding these things out?
I think the best thing, one thing I always like to say is that congressional staffer who's running that office is 22 years old. They lack experience. So the more education, the more you can show and prove like a point, but when it comes to, how to vote one way or the other way, if you're an expert, you got to make sure you tell the congressional staff, those offices, those opinions, those educational statistics, those reviews. Get informed, be informed. I always think that, a voter can't just rely on, the tag if you're a Republican or Democrat. You got to be informed about the issues and how it affects your life. Because believe it or not, every single piece of legislation affects someone's life or someone's well-being.
Yes, absolutely.
It's always got a consequence. You have to look at the consequence of the action.
Well, Jane, Tom Schmitz here again. You worked there 4 years ago. You teach political science now. 4 years from now, where do you see Washington in the gridlock?
Oh man, I think, knock on wood, I think that 80% of us that fall right down the middle of the mainstream America, I think we're going to start to get ticked off, and I think that ripple effect is going to affect both extreme camps. And I think you're going to see some movement. Of course, we're going to have a presidential election. I think that always makes people move to the middle. So I hope that folks get enough ticked off that they start saying, enough is enough. Pass a piece of legislation. Do your job.
So kick the bums out's what you're saying, huh?
Kick the bums out.
Yeah, and of course the White House will be a new president no matter what. And I've heard that.
And you got to keep the Florida name of Rubio keeps popping up.
Yeah, we hear it a lot down here, exactly. So we're anxious to see what that's all about. But for sure. Again, the book is called Capitol Hill. You can get it on Amazon.com, and I'm sure that Jane would appreciate that. And the sales of the book are going well?
We're having an absolute blast. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know, it's so much fun. It's one thing for your mom and dad to pick up the book and read it, but it's another thing for complete strangers to be emailing us on this, so they can't put it down. Everybody's trying to figure out what's true in the book and what's not true.
Yes.
We've been having an absolute hit with it. It's been great.
I wonder what Senator Norm Coburn is saying about it.
Well, you know, on record, he's done a couple of interviews after folks. We've had a lot of national media.
Yeah.
And, you know, the good senator has basically called us creative entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Badge well checked, you know?
Yeah.
That's a badge I'll wear.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, that's great. Congratulations on success. What's next? Got another book coming out?
Yeah, you know what? Both Alicia and I are working on book number 2 right now, so we hope to have it finished by the end of the year, and then we'll see what goes from there.
Soon to be a movie, Capital Hell. You never know. Hey, thanks a lot.
Yeah, what do you think? Have a good day.
All right, thank you, Jane. Appreciate that very much. All right, appreciate that comment.
She seems as disenfranchised, but she seems as disenfranchised with what's going on with Washington as we do.
She's inside the Beltway, and she knows it's just as screwed up as we think it is.
That's good that people that actually work on the inside that aren't the elected officials but work for them realize it's screwed up, too.
Yeah, we apologize for that noise on the cell phone. Some kind of that crackling noise is hard to hear. Sorry about that.
We'll just blame JJ.
No, JJ's got enough to worry about. He's got the hurricanes to worry about right now. He's got enough on his plate.
Ooh,
he's going to be grumpy in a sports hour.
If Sports Illustrated is to be believed, he's got a lot on his plate.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I will do this after the break. I want to tell you when the world's oldest man died, and he wasn't that much.
You're still here.
Yeah, right. This is brought to mind that Oni Ponder, who was not that far below. She was like they thought the 30-something oldest person in the world from Ocala, who died a couple of years ago, but apparently this gentleman had what else did he die from at 116? Natural causes, right? What else? Naturally, old age, whatever you may call it. So we'll talk about that next as well. And whatever else is on the news, we'll catch up on the news as well right here. So stay tuned to the Voice of Ocala. Coming up on the other side, we got tweets and quotes next. Don't forget, during sports, JJ will tell us about the latest news on the SI report, which breaks down the problems in Miami, issues there. And we'll also talk with Bill Connolly of SB Nation, breaking down the Florida Gators. A very good analytical look at Florida's last season and the one coming up. So stay tuned for that. Just, again, reminding you can go to ocala.com/killing season, the new movie by John Travolta, and you can get a ticket from if you're one of the lucky 300. Tom will tell you about that after the break right here on the Voice of Ocala.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And so is State Farm agent Angie Lewis, working hard to serve her community as a citizen and insurance agent. Angie wants to help you as you adjust your insurance needs to your life, from everything to helping educate your teen driver to protecting your family against everyday risk. She wants to change the way you perceive insurance by developing relationships with her clients, which is why Angie and her staff are proud to be a part of so many good causes in Ocala. In turn, she has chosen to single out those who step up as leaders. Each month on the Voice of Ocala, Angie spotlights a good neighbor, saluting those who give exceptional service or do random acts of kindness to others. For this, Angie was written up in State Farm's National Magazine. Angie also supports local businesses with a regular Biz Buzz. The Angie Lewis State Farm Agency is located at 1122 Northeast 36th Avenue, where visitors are always welcome and the coffee pot is always on. Call your good neighbor's State Farm agent today, Angie Lewis, at 294-2444. Recently, I had a great conversation with General Manager Pat Murray on the special events at Country Club of Ocala.
We have a lot of events, special events here that are geared towards the family. Easter comes to mind. We have an Easter bunny who hops around on the driving range, and we usually hide somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000 eggs and turn them loose and let them go harvest the eggs. We have a great family celebration here on the 4th of July where it's a traditional cookout, if you will. And as the sun goes down, the driving range becomes alive with probably one of the better fireworks displays in the area. Breakfast with Santa is a big deal.
Country Club of Ocala, where the Easter Bunny, Santa, and all the children, large and small, are a big deal on every special occasion. For more information, call 352-237-6644. That's 352-237-6644. Country Club of Ocala, proud sponsor of the Monday Gator Report right here on The Source.
Don't get caught without your daily source of senior deals. Pick up your copy of the Senior Voice newspaper. It's your source for schedule and events tailored to seniors, with information you need, like a list of free events in the area. We even have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company to you that fits your needs, and all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about them. For more information, call Tom's Picks, 352-804-1223. And pick up your copy of the Senior's Voice at most any business up and down the 200 corridor.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online. Hello all, Joe Martone here for Karaoke Time. You hear me each morning for the segment of Fun with Joe? Well, fun is what I do. So the next time you want to have a get-together, for just about any reason, give me a call. 470-0276 for Karaoke Time. That number is 470-0276. Everybody likes to sing, and with the words on the screen, it's just that much easier. Call Karaoke Time, 470-0276 for the next event, big or small. Karaoke Time can keep the fun in your business, too.
Hey, I didn't know it rained last night.
Oh, it didn't. Why do you say that?
Because little Johnny's in the backyard playing in that big mud puddle.
Did you leave the hose on?
No, the neighbor borrowed it yesterday.
Wait, is that the side where the septic...
Johnny, get out of there!
Having septic problems? At Mike Scott Plumbing, we can make those septic worries disappear. We can pump your septic tank, repair your drain field, and, if needed, even install a whole new system. At Mike Scott Plumbing, we don't take crap from anyone. We take it from everyone. 237-2888. Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
Need a fun activity for your kids? Camp Caballo is being hosted by the Marion Therapeutic Riding Association and accepting riders aged 7 through 13. Riders will learn proper horse care and horse-keeping skills, do creative projects relative to horses, and will have riding and grooming lessons. Space is still available for the week of June 17th. The entire week at camp is only $250 per child. Ask us about discounts for multiple registrations. Call Lori at 352-732-7300 for more information. Hurry, call today.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
WOCA, Ocala.
This is Tom Schmitz live in the WOCA studios with this news break brought to you by Country Club of Ocala. John Travolta wants to take Marion County to the movies, according to Ocala.com. More specifically, the actor and Anthony resident plans to buy 1,000 tickets to his new thriller, Killing Season, for the general public and local donors who have contributed to his causes throughout the years. He will give 300 tickets to donors and then give 2 tickets each to 350 residents who answer trivia questions online. Those 350 winners will be selected randomly. The deadline is June 30th. Killing Season opens in limited release in big cities on July 12th. This news break was brought to you by the Country Club of Ocala. If you'd like to schedule a special event at one of Ocala's premier facilities, call 237-6644 today.
The man I used to be, there's a shadow hanging over me. Oh, yesterday came suddenly. Why she...
We're back on the Voice of Ocala with Buddy Martin. Buddy went to his car to run an errand or something. I want to tell you, Buddy's back now. I want to bring to light, though, there's an unusually massive line of storms packing hail, lightning, and tree-toppling winds that could affect more than 1 in 5 Americans as it rolls from Iowa to Maryland. Meteorologists were even warning about the possibility of a weather event called a Duraco, which is a storm of strong straight-line winds spanning 240 miles wide. The storms are also likely to generate tornadoes and cause power outages to 1/3 of the country. This is not looking good, buddy.
They're making up new names of kinds of storms we're having.
Duraco.
Weird. Well, I know this much. It seems like it's been the worst tornado season I can remember a while because it's been extended. And all I can say is that the climate being hotter obviously means we get more storms, and they're more powerful.
They said that it could that this dangerous weather includes 74.7 million people in 19 states. For the first time this year, they're using its highest alert level for storms for parts of Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, not to mention along with Oklahoma, Missouri, says it could hit Chicago around rush hour today. So that's within an hour
what
and a half.
Chicago needs right now. Everything else they got going on.
It may purge some of the sliminess in Chicago going on right now.
Unfortunately, it takes the good people out with the bad. Everybody wants to know, how do you live a long time? And, of course, the case history we look at. Here's a guy who lived. He was born in 1897. Jerome Kimura, retired postal worker. He worked before World War II in what was the Japanese colony off Korea. He died in the city of Kawatango. He was 116 years old. He was in his final years. You want to know what was his secret, right? Mr. Kimura, widely quoted as advised people to eat light to live longer. Tom, we must have missed that memo.
I guess.
Eat light to live longer. And he said he attributed his longevity to consuming only healthy foods in moderate portions. What does Laurie always say? Everything in moderation.
Even moderation.
Mm-hmm. Japanese media said he had 7 children, 14 grandchildren, 25 great-grandchildren, and 15 great-great-grandchildren.
Was he kin to Mr. Miyagi?
Yeah. I don't know. But be careful, because you're if you're not careful, you're stereotyping. You know what I'm saying?
No. He's Japanese.
I know,
Mr. Miyagi
but
was
that's
Japanese.
the point. See, that's what racial profiling is anyway. That's what they told me.
I was just asking if he was kin to Mr. Miyagi, another Japanese man.
In other words, all Japanese look alike?
No, I didn't say that. You did.
I'm just saying to you, today in the world, it's not
I'm
appropriate to say so he looks like so-and-so, another person.
I didn't say he looked like it. I asked if he was kin to it.
Yeah.
Stop
because why?
Because they're both Japanese.
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. Because they're both Japanese, that means we're stereotyping.
Okay. Well,
I'm just telling you what.
You be politically correct, and I'll tell you you're wrong. But go ahead.
I'm just telling you what the rules of the road are. But
that's not the rules of the road.
That's
the rules of political correctness, and I don't abide by those.
Maybe he'd be better off if Sergio Garcia had been a little bit more politically correct, too, wouldn't he? Who you got, JJ?
Hugh.
What's up, Hugh?
How you guys doing?
Hot.
Yeah, all my relatives are waiting for the big storm to come through Milwaukee and Chicago area this afternoon, but so far so good. So, haven't heard too much. I just wanted to mention about this guy that lived forever eating lightly. My mother-in-law, she was around 350 pounds, and she was only 5'2", and she ate anything and everything she loved. From candies to she always had a schnapps and a beer every day. And she liked Kimmel. You ever have Kimmel?
I did not have Kimmel.
I'm hanging out with Hugh's mom.
No, it's my
mother-in-law.
Wife's. And it tastes a little bit like licorice, but she always had a shot of Kimmel every day.
Really?
And she liked her beer at noon with a sandwich, and she ate cheese, and she ate all the stuff that you ain't supposed to eat. She never had high blood pressure. She never had diabetes. And she lived to 97, and she broke every rule in the book. And like I said, she was around 350 pounds and maybe like 5'2",
350?
Yeah,
My
she was
goodness.
about as wide as she was high.
Wow.
And never had never took a pill, not even to the day she died. So
never took a pill.
You never took a pill for anything.
And every now and then you hear these stories about a woman who smoked cigars, and drank whiskey every day and lived to be 99, and it's it's hard. I guess some people's bodies are immune to certain things. I don't know why it happens.
It must be her genes or something, or whatever.
I guess.
But I hoped living with her for a while, way back in my
rubbed
past,
off, huh?
I kind of rubbed off a little bit. Anyways, having a beer at noon with my summer sausage or liver sausage sandwich.
So that's what you're going for, right?
Oh, I like my raw beef.
Yeah.
Especially in the wintertime around the holidays.
Oh, yeah? Well, Japan has the world's longest life expectancies,
Yeah. But, being invaded by us, in time that'll change with the McDonald's over there and all the other stuff.
No doubt.
It's just a matter of time.
Well, they do that low-fat thing in fish.
Yeah.
Things like that. I read the other day, and I read it on the show yesterday about the tick, the Lone Star tick now.
Oh,
They're saying it's infecting beef and pork with something that's causing meat allergies in people, with nausea and what have you.
Yeah,
it's strange what's happening to our strains of food, isn't it?
Oh, it's not, I want to tell you something real quick. The other day, I'm kind of health conscious. A little. I like eating fish, and we like salmon. And I always buy the cold water wild salmon. It's supposed to be best for you.
Right.
So
wild caught.
On the front of the package says USA. Okay, very, very good. I got homemade one. In the back, in real fine print, listen to what it said under. It said wild caught in USA, processed in China, product of China. I'm reading it right now on the label. Can you imagine that?
You just saw the first part. That's something. I just people say read labels. I just don't trust most labels. You know,
no, I'm telling you,
I just don't trust.
You just don't know what the. But you know, like we were talking, you get a person like my mother-in-law there, didn't give a hoot and holler about anything, and lived almost forever. You know.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I think you better start having cheese and beer for lunch.
There you go.
All right, Hugh. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Bye now.
You know who Medgar Evers is, don't you?
Of course I do.
Uh-huh. JJ, you know who he is?
No.
No. Well, that's okay. I mean, you wouldn't know. This is the 50th anniversary of his death.
Of him getting shot.
Yeah, he's sort of one of the things that brought about integration was a murder of Medgar Evers.
He was a civil rights leader
right.
in the 50s and 60s.
Exactly. He was returning from a meeting, and he was gunned down by a white supremacist in the driveway of his home, Mississippi.
And then it took him, 35 years to convict the guy?
Yeah. And his death came just hours after a speech on civil rights by John F. Kennedy. And it sparked an outrage, and it changed things. And today's the 50th anniversary, so I guess he didn't die for nothing. People at least remember who he was, and just one of those names out of history sometimes that pops up there, Tom, and you remember some of the events of the past, and there were some embarrassing ones, that's for sure.
Well, and there certainly were some embarrassing things, and that's the problem I have with going back to the shortcomings in education and all. Is you ask JJ. JJ is a relatively intelligent kid, got a college education.
And he's old school.
And he's old school, but they haven't done the proper things of teaching who everybody important to him. They stopped teaching history of importance. They teach now it's the civil rights movement was very important, especially in this area of the country, and very little is taught about it.
Yeah. Let's take a call. Who you got, JJ?
Jim.
Hi, Jim. You're on with Tom, Buddy, and JJ. How you doing?
Tom, Buddy, JJ. How is everything? Good. Just a little trivia about Medgar Evers. As part of the case against the guy that killed him here, I guess it was probably 30 years after he was buried, they exhumed his grave to re-examine it. And come to find out, his body had barely decomposed at all. He about looked the same way as he did when they put him in that box.
What?
Yeah. It was in the news and everything. It was really kind of strange. Because he was barely decomposed at all.
My goodness.
It was kind of strange. I just thought I'd share that with you. On the longevity, my grandma lived to be 108.
Yeah.
And had a shot of liquor every day of her life.
Yeah, and you hear that more and more, don't you?
That's what the doctor told her to do when she got older.
So that means you'll be having one tonight, right?
I'm already behind the 8 ball. 50 years old and losing ground quick.
All right. Well, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
You know what Lori Martin Gregory would tell you about these stories like that? Is that they were eating, even though they were eating unhealthy, the food was more healthy because it wasn't so shot up with all the drugs and all they put in steroids they put in foods. It was more of a natural food.
She says that my generation ate
better food. You did.
Up until 30 years ago, we didn't have genetically engineered food.
You didn't. You ate better food up until about 25, 30 years ago.
And that's the thing that concerns. This is the part that she knows about because she studies it. But the average person, I certainly don't know much about other than what she tells us.
My grandmother Galloway died at 97 years old. And I know for a fact, when I watched her, and I was a kid of 6, 7, 8, she died when I was 12 years old. I used to love to go to Granny Galloway's house because I knew that her caretaker every morning was going to fix a pound of bacon and a dozen eggs for Grandma. That's what she ate every morning. She ate a dozen scrambled eggs. She didn't eat it all at one time. It just stayed on the stove covered, and she'd pick at it all morning, but she'd eat a pound of bacon and a dozen eggs every day. And she dipped honeybee snuff. You remember honeybee snuff?
Yeah.
And she lived to be 97, and there was nothing wrong with her, and watched professional wrestling, would beat you with a cane if you got in the way of her TV, and was a nice woman and did all kind of things you weren't supposed to do but live forever.
Yeah. One more time, just there's another headline in the news. Apparently, there's been a resignation. Deputy Director Michael Morrell retired from his post to the CIA after managing the resignation of the former CIA Director, David Petraeus, which was kind of a shock. That was over an extramarital affair, of course, if you remember. And he defends the agency's performance over the attack on the diplomatic post in Benghazi. Morrell was passed over for the top spot by President Obama in favor of John Brennan, who now is on the job. Brennan said Morrell will be replaced by Avril Haines, currently a deputy assistant to the president and legal advisor at the National Security Council. So it isn't directly related to anything domestic here or any problems the administration's having with the issues they are having regarding our spying on Americans. How else can you say it, right? That's kind of what it is.
Well, that's not kind of what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah. All right, we will take a break. We'll come back. We'll
tweets and quotes.
Get you ready for tweets and quotes. Got sports going on. We got a lot to talk about. And with a debacle, JJ, you won't have any idea what I did last night during the basketball game. Think of all the things.
Oh, I know what you did because I did the exact same thing.
And he even got me to do it.
Yeah. You know me, JJ.
I know.
What's the likelihood I would do something like that?
I know.
Never in a million years, right?
Not only did I do it, but I tweeted to JJ about that I was doing it.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, am I sick or what? What's happening here, man? So, strange thing. Not even an interesting game, unfortunately, although it doesn't matter who wins. It's just the idea that the game was so atrocious.
Right.
They played at such a high level for so long. This thing just fell apart. It was awful. It was awful. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll have tweets and quotes for you today on the program called The Voice of Ocala.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
Hi, this is Buddy Martin. If you have an award or a trophy in your house, there's more than a good chance it came from BJ Trophies Gifts and Awards. At BJ Trophies, Floyd Hirschberger and his staff have a lot more than just trophies. Among the items they specialize in are donor recognition walls and trees, personalized or engraved gifts, cast bronze dedication plaques, wide format digital printing with posters, banners, and signs, and promotional products. Floyd is the official trophy and awards maker for the Voice of Ocala radio show and is North Central Florida's leader in custom recognition programs, corporate awards, industrial engraving, unique gifts, and advertising specialties. When Angie Lewis went shopping for something to award to the winners of her State Farm Good Neighbor Award, she shopped first at BJ Trophies Awards and Gifts. Check them out at 1735 Northeast Jacksonville Road on North Magnolia's Miracle Mile, or call them today at 352-732-2249. BJ Trophies Awards and Gifts. Trophies is just our middle name. Hi, this is Buddy Martin for Renstar Medical Research. Every day we hear another story about innovation or about the cutting edge of technology taking place right here in Ocala. The power plant, IHMC, Ocala 489. But did you know that important medical research is also being conducted here that will impact hundreds of thousands of people in the country someday? Maybe you've heard the name Renstar, but like so many others, perhaps you didn't realize Renstar Medical Research is one of the top facilities of its kind anywhere in the U.S. There are important studies being conducted by a highly qualified team of medical experts at Renstar, impacting decisions of major pharmaceutical companies and bringing new drugs to market. And you can be a part of these studies, as so many local people are right now. Renstar has conducted more than 500 studies since its inception and would like to extend an opportunity to you to be a part of these. Call 877-629-5800 or 352-629-5800 if you'd like to know more. Renstar Medical Research, locally owned and operated in beautiful downtown Ocala. Renstar, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today.
You're listening to WOCA, Ocala.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're ocalaforsale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to ocalaforsale.com. License and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
You've got a garden, and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
Howdy,
folks. RL here to invite you to Dairy Queen for a great new meal. Dairy Queen's now serving 3 different $5 meals. Hot dogs with chili, cheese, slaw, whatever. Quarter pound with cheese, loaded up any way you like it. Solid filet chicken tenders. And each meal comes with fries, a drink, and a sundae for only $5. You got that right. Nobody beats that deal. A great value and a great meal. So come on down to Dairy Queen at Silver Springs, where they always treat you like kings and queens.
This is Don with ABC Fredericks Appliance. Here's my daughter, Lena.
And hey, everybody, it's Lena. You need to come down to ABC Fredericks Appliance on County Road 25, just over the railroad tracks in Bellevue, where you are treated right with the right products like Whirlpool, Maytag, Crosley, and Speed Queen. These are the new ones. Don't forget, we also carry used appliances that we warranty. ABC Fredericks Appliance does repairs, too. Call us at 629-5181. ABC Fredericks Appliance on County Road 25, just over the railroad tracks in Bellevue. It's at 629-5181.
No, I've said too much. I set it up. That's me.
Welcome back to the program. Dow Jones suffers its first 3-day drop this year. I know not some of us folks are not in the stock market, so it didn't affect us that much, but that is a barometer sort of the economy.
JJ and I are upset that we've lost a lot in our portfolios.
Yeah, I understand. You lost your portfolio. That's what you lost.
Yeah, I never had one.
Yeah.
If you find it, please give it back to me.
I'm a mutual fund guy myself. I don't have many, but I mean, that's where the little boys play. I don't go to the big boys. Just to take my little modest 3 or 4 or 5 point gains and go on about it. All right, time to do a little tweets and quotes, JJ. Yeah, I thought I was going to get a whole list of Tim Tebow tweets today, but I didn't get enough of them, so I figured, well, enough of that. Today's are kind of semi-serious a little bit, so every now and then we'd like to get them. Can't all be Stephen Wright, okay? It ain't, as my friend Joe Williams says, it ain't all beer and Skittles. This comes from Gonzo Arzuaga. This is advice for somebody in this room. I won't say who it is, but take if it fits and wear it. A smart person knows how to fight a battle. A wise person knows which battles not to fight. Number 2, an Indian proverb. I like this one a lot. Call on God, but row away from the rocks. Advice. And finally, with apologies to Dr. Buddy, which is normally on Mondays, this comes from something that's it's life's fact. Lust is 2 hearts with one thing in mind. Love is 2 minds with each other's best interest at heart.
Hopping and a bopping and a singing this song. All the little birds on Jaybird Street look to it.
All right, so you guys were talking during the break about the little brawl last night.
Wasn't a little one, buddy.
Well, there wasn't any punches thrown. We'll get into it some of the sports hour.
There was a bunch of punches thrown.
No.
There wasn't any landed.
No, not
well.
any punches. There was a few slaps.
Yeah.
They had a guy in a headlock hitting.
Yeah, he
like
wasn't punching.
this.
There wasn't any punching.
Puig comes in and swings a haymaker.
That was one of the worst punches I've ever seen thrown in my life, by the way. Puig. He's a great 5-star player.
He slapped him.
Yeah, it was ugly.
Slap. No.
But he's not, there's great Cuban boxers.
Mark McGuire, roid raging on the field.
Yeah.
Well, here's the whole point, which we'll get into in the sports hour, is that you got a golden child here of baseball. The guy who's got more interest now than anything we've had in baseball this year and maybe a couple of years. At a time when we got so many bad stories in baseball, more PEDs, we got the Alex Rodriguez deal, all that stuff going down, and we get this really good, refreshing story we all love. And that's Puig, this young Cuban defector, who is just lights out. He's shown, as Vince Scully said, I saw this morning on SportsCenter, he's shown all 5 tools already. He can do everything. He can field, he can throw, he can hit, he can run. He can do it all. And last night, he could have had a career-ending injury.
Yeah.
I mean, it was right close to his eye and his brain, and you can say what you want to about whether or not the pitcher meant to throw it there. I'm sorry if the guy gets carted off in an ambulance. I didn't mean to do it. Ain't good enough, okay? That's like saying, I didn't know the gun was loaded. If you're going to throw inside, make sure you don't hit somebody in the head. That's my rule of thumb.
Well, that's a pretty good rule of thumb, except unless your name's Bob Gibson. But, hey, he wasn't very good.
I didn't say Bob Gibson did it right, by the way. I'm just saying he didn't. I don't remember anybody's career being over because of Bob Gibson.
And Puig's isn't over either.
Oh, but it could have been. So, anyway, that's just one little thing. So a little thing we'll talk about during the sports hour coming up, so stay tuned for that. And then the basketball game, if we can count it. All of that. Oh, my goodness. Just so ugly. We'll tell you what we all did. We did unknowingly. We all did the same thing. We went to a refuge you will not believe, especially out of my mouth. I can't believe I actually did
yours.
That. But me, I mean, I don't even talk about it.
I think you'd go before I would.
No. Did I tell you which one you think would be the last to go?
Buddy.
Yeah, me. I'm the last to go. So we'll talk about that. U.S. Open weather. I've got an update on that. Tell you about the definition of stupid by some Heat fan. And we'll talk to a gentleman who's got a good breakdown, Bill Connolly from SB Nation, about Gator football and some analytics. All coming your way right here on a Wednesday on the radio program called Buddy's Sports Page on this station.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make...
Hi, it's Lisa Midget with Kinetic Motion Fitness. I'm looking forward to a fun, healthy summer, and I have a few ideas that might just help you and your friends stay in shape and have fun too. Along with awesome personal training and group classes at our warm and inviting fitness studio, we also offer fitness classes at your home or business. And if you're tired of the same old, boring cake and punch party, why not let us host a hot new health trend, a fitness party at your home or office? If you're having a hard time getting to the gym this summer because of your crazy schedule, then work out with your friends or coworkers in a private group fitness class or host a fitness party at your home or office. We will bring you and your friends or coworkers one of our great workouts like Zumba, Pilates, Body Bar, Yoga, Tai Chi Boot Camp, or Zumba Tonics for kids. We can even help you reach your long-term goals by meeting at your place weekly for an on-location workout. Check out our website at kmfocala.com and like us on Facebook. Kinetic Motion Fitness is located just 5 minutes from downtown Ocala near the Skylark Plaza. Kinetic Motion Fitness. We're ready when you are.
Is your old car a strikeout? Strike one.
It's embarrassing to drive.
Strike two.
It costs too much to maintain.
Strike three.
You owe more than it's worth.
You're out of there.
Hey, this is Chris Spears from Prestige Auto Sales. I'm celebrating two of America's favorite pastimes, baseball and driving.
So this week you can hit a grand slam.
I'm giving you a ton of cash off a nicer, newer car you'll love to drive.
Are you riding the bench because of bad credit? Our For the People credit approval process goes to bat with the banks and lenders to help you get approved and back in the game.
Join the major leagues and start driving a car you love.
Come see us during our Drive It Out of the Park event and get a ton of cash off a new ride.
Hurry, this game isn't going into extra innings. The stadium goes black after we've helped 57 people score a new ride. My name is Chris Spears, and I'm a dealer for the people.
Visit Prestige in Ocala or Bellevue, or call 694-1234. Sierra Prestige.
Hi, this is Buddy Martin. Listen to my show weekdays from 3 to 6 right here on the Voice of Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Hey, I didn't know it rained last night.
Oh, it didn't. Why do you say that?
Because little Johnny's in the backyard playing in that big mud puddle.
Did you leave the hose on?
No, the neighbor borrowed it yesterday.
Wait, is that the side where the septic...
Johnny, get out of there!
Having septic problems? At Mike Scott Plumbing, we can make those septic worries disappear. We can pump your septic tank, repair your drain field, and, if needed, even install a whole new system. At Mike Scott Plumbing, we don't take crap from anyone. We take it from everyone. 237-2888. Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
News Talk 1370, WOCA invites you to discover your full business potential. News Talk Radio is the perfect environment for your advertising. WOCA's News Talk format pinpoints information-hungry, better educated, high-income adults. So use us to talk to them. Call 732-8000. 732-8000. We're Ocala News Talk Radio. News Talk 1370 WOCA.
Hey, I'm Gary. And I'm Eric. Did you know that Red Eye Radio is on WOCA The Source every night from 2 to 6 a.m. and it's live?
That's right. No tape shows here.
We know that the news doesn't sleep.
And neither do we. So we're here with you live from 2 till 6 a.m. every weekday. Call us 866-90-RED-EYE. So join me, Gary McNamara.
And me, Eric Harley, every weeknight to discuss the latest in news and entertainment.
Right here on WOCA The Source.
How good does it get? Golf has long been considered to be sport's most prestigious game, and WOCA has your connection to everything in the golf world. Every first and third Thursday at 10 a.m., tune in for Let's Talk Golf with your host, PGA professional and teacher to the stars, Jim Beckett, and operations manager for the Links of Spruce Creek South, Darren Irwin, right here on The Source.
Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line, and a new spoiler, and a new
trunk.
Yep,
we can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too, huh?
Well, as a matter of fact, join me every Monday at 10 for auto repair with personal care here on The Source.
Of course you do.
You're listening to WOCA News Talk 1370, Ocala's source for what's happening in today's hottest, up-to-date news and topics.
Tickets, and they're blamed on more than 7 million red light violations nationwide last year. A field trip took an unexpected turn for some San Francisco children. They were on a city bus that collided with a trolley today. About a dozen sat on the sidewalk holding ice packs to their heads after the crash. The Southern Baptist Convention wants the Boy Scouts to be prepared for a fight. It's approved a resolution today opposing the organization's new policy allowing gay scouts. It says the scouts should have first talked to the many religious groups which sponsor troops. There's an unspoken bias in many workplaces. Canadian study finds men who take on non-traditional caregiving roles are treated worse on the job than men who stick closer to traditional gender norms in the family. Women without children, they're treated the worst of all. This is ABC News.
Geico says, let's make life simpler.
It's a fact of modern life. Switching isn't easy. Your bank, your cable company, your girlfriend. Let's just say each switch comes with a certain degree of difficulty. But switching to Geico, now that couldn't be easier. First of all, it only takes 15 minutes. And just like that, you could be saving hundreds on car insurance. No muss, no fuss, no irate, vengeful, significant others.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
It's everyone's favorite meat game.
Shot Swap!
Ken picked grill number 1 and got ribeye steak. Ken, you can keep the steak. Or
swap it
for the ribeye pork chop.
Swap it.
Pork is less expensive. I'll swap it. Nicely done, Ken. You won delicious pork and great value on
Shot Swap.
Find affordable and swap-worthy pork recipes at porkbeinspired.com. Pork, be inspired. This message funded by America's pork producers and the Pork Checkoff.
How much time? 30 seconds. I'm on right now. I don't believe you.
Okay. Enough kidding around.
Ho, 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 ho. Ho, ho, ho.
And now it's time for the Buddy Martin Sports Page.
He actually had me stay here last night in his gym.
It's like I don't fit in. It's like I don't belong here.
Let's go talk to a couple of guys that never gamble.
Oh, see, I made Louis a bet here. See, Louis bet me that we couldn't both get rich and put you on the poorhouse at the same time. He didn't think we could do it.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
And now, here's Buddy.
Hi, welcome to Buddy Sports Page on a Wednesday, the day after the massacre on the Alamo. Wow. Crushed the Heat. Absolutely. That was a Secretariat-type butt whipping is what that was. And we'll get into all those numbers in just a minute. Some of the numbers are astounding, especially from the little three versus the big three. And some of the numbers are, like I said, they're mind-blowing, especially considering the high level of basketball has been played. Meanwhile, they're hoping it's going to clear out in time for Thursday, but more rain may be on the way for the Open in Marion. And we'll tell you about a character on the PGA Tour that died. But meanwhile, JJ's got the headlines. JJ, what you got?
Yes, the Spurs did win last night, 113-77. We'll probably talk about that more. Next game's Thursday night, 9 o'clock from San Antonio. Tonight's actually game one of the NHL final, buddy.
Who knew?
Which, by the way, it's NBA Finals, NHL Stanley Cup Final. In case you didn't know that. Very
Thank
important.
you for that, JJ.
Blackhawks Bruins, 8 o'clock on NBC. Tony Parker, even though they destroyed Miami last night, he actually had to leave the game early.
That's scary.
Yeah, because of a right hamstring. So we'll see how that affects him. The MRI revealed that a grade 1 sprain on his hamstring, the mildest level of strain. He's listed as day-to-day, so we'll see how that affects him. That's actually good news, I think, for them. Yeah, it could have been worse. But hamstring, always an iffy thing. Also in the NBA, Doc Rivers, pretty much suggesting that he said, quote, it's time for a change. Maybe time for a change. So I wouldn't be surprised if Doc Rivers takes, the Nets job, Clippers job, somewhere like that.
Well, and not only that, I would be surprised if the old guys are out at Boston.
Yes. The Boston Big Three is probably, well, it's already no more. Ray Allen's gone, but I don't know how long they're going to be able to keep.
Does everybody have to have a big three?
I guess. That's how it's going.
I think maybe some teams would be better off with a little three like last night.
The USGA today said that they are not changing the rules for the weather, so you will not be able to pick up your ball.
Well, thus the mutter term.
You mean lift, clean, and replace, JJ?
Yes.
So that means that we'll be hearing from Bob Herrick and also yesterday Ron Cyrack and the comments that they made about the term mud ball here in a moment. But I didn't expect it to change.
No.
The USGA doesn't change. They just don't.
And Miami made the news today, buddy.
How about those Canes? You've been like a nervous cat. You've been like a cat.
I read the story.
You've been like a cat in a room full of rocking chairs, as the old.
Well, you said that right as the show started out. You said, you know what? Miami's on the front page of SportsIllustrated.com. I think they have a story in Sports Illustrated this week, by the way. Apparently, in jailhouse interviews, they interviewed Nevin Shapiro, and one of the new allegations is that he made multiple millions of dollars gambling on over 23 games, I believe it was, against and for the Miami Hurricanes based on things that coaches and players told him, some of which he says knew what he was doing with that information.
Buddy,
not good. Yes.
Buddy,
that's not good.
Haven't boosters always gotten that kind of information from coaches?
Probably. Probably. The most famous case, you guys might not remember this. I'm sure JJ wasn't anywhere near around. His dad probably wasn't even born. And that is the Bear Bryant case and the Wally Butts case of where Saturday Evening Post did an expose of a game where a person actually heard Bear Bryant talking to Wally Butts, who was the former coach at Georgia, and having information about what was going on. And apparently the person listening just said they were trying to get information to bet on a game. And that story came out by Furman Bisher, late Furman Bisher, in the Saturday Evening Post, and it proved to be inaccurate information, apparently.
Yeah,
and there was
Butts
a lawsuit.
won $3.6 million.
Which back then was a lot of money. That was a famous story. Of course, who knows? I got to think maybe there's more to that story than we knew, but they couldn't prove it. So,
it was later reduced to $460,000.
Yeah. Well, this isn't. I promise you, Nevin Shapiro is not the first booster to use inside information to gamble.
No. It just was more blatant. This guy was hooked into the team and JJ in all kinds of ways.
Yes, I mean he's got a picture. This is the most ironic picture ever. He's at a bowling alley with Donna Shalala, and he's giving her a huge check.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many bad photo ops with Nevin Shapiro in it.
I don't know anything.
Yes.
Nothing to see here.
She just needs to step down eventually.
You're a Canes fan saying that.
Yes. But, I mean, it's always been like this with her.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
No, that's about it.
Okay.
We'll talk about the USA game later.
Yeah, we also got the U.S. We got the soccer. You got corner kick coming up after the next interview we've got with our friend. What time do we have that on? Is that 5:30?
5:30.
Yeah.
Where are we gonna be tomorrow, buddy?
Tomorrow we're gonna be at Pat Murray's place at the Country Club Ocala. Always love going out there.
Really do.
We get good treatment. We got a great
veranda,
spot.
We got the veranda room.
It's just nice, and people are nice, and it's going to be fun because we'll have golf on television, watching the U.S. Open as it goes along. We'll try to get Steve Albright to show up, and maybe our friend who's the superintendent, Jason Regan from perhaps too. Talk a little golf.
You know the thing about the country club that I like that a lot of people don't know?
The food. Oh, no.
Oh, the food's very good, by the way. They have a very good staff and all. But you hear country club and you think, well, you got to be a member. Well, you do have to be a member to play the course. But they have great banquet facilities and all out there for rent and for people to hold gatherings and all that you don't have to be a member to use.
You missed the big one. The Seminoles are out there. They had their meeting out there.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
you can have weddings and parties. Yeah,
there.
it's good. It's a good place to go. And I do go out there a good bit. As you know, I am a member, and I like their food, and I like the atmosphere. So we'll be out there Thursday doing our thing. And, of course, Friday back over on the Gateway Bank, and it'll be Ask the Cops. Lots to talk about with the chief of police.
Lots to talk about with Ask the Cops.
And that'll be interesting, too, as well. This will be a little tease for maybe after the break, but you know the definition of stupid?
Yeah, I do know the definition of stupid.
This is one of them. A Heat fan
I've seen
wearing a LeBron jersey in San Antonio on his motorcycle, going along the Texas highway, weaving in and out of traffic of, guess what? Spurs fans. Almost got killed. I mean, does it take a lot of intelligence to realize that you don't want to put your LeBron jersey on and go weaving through traffic when there's a bunch of fans on the other side? I mean, you're just asking for it. Chad Cazares, 25, at the University Hospital now, and he had a bad night, and could have wound up being killed.
When you wear an opposing team's jersey,
you're asking for it.
Yeah, and you're sort of safe in the confines of a stadium, but when you're outside the stadium, tailgating or in the street, whatever,
listen,
you should put that in your back pocket.
Here's the definition. Given to unintelligent decisions or acts, acting in an unintelligent or careless manner. That's the definition of stupid. So this guy qualifies.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's not a good thing. Just a little hint for you. If you're going to go weaving out of traffic on a motorcycle, don't wear something that's going to tick off the people driving the cars, okay?
Even more.
Who have four wheels, all right? Just a little tip there for you. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about this massacre of the Alamo Dome last night. It was downright embarrassing. So bad that I did something I thought I'd never do, and lo and behold, found out that JJ and Tom did the same thing. We'll tell you about it next right here on Buddy Sports Page.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
Hi, this is Tom Schmitz, the host of Buddy's Saturday Sports Page on WOCA. The Saturday Sports Page is your weekend destination for everything sports. From NASCAR to golf, baseball to boxing, and of course the best, most comprehensive football coverage on the radio. Also, you don't want to miss my weekly Are You Kidding Me rant? So join me and JJ LaSalva every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for Buddy's Saturday Sports Page on WOCA, The Source.
Since 1976, Daniel L. Hightower, a lawyer, has been fighting for accident victim justice in North Central Florida and statewide. He believes everyone in America should follow the rules, including the insurance companies. He and his firm have experience fighting for victims of personal injury, wrongful death, workers' compensation, and Social Security disability, as well as serving those in need of help with bankruptcy, simple wills, and estate plans. The mission at the law offices of Daniel L. Hightower, PA, is to represent deserving clients and recover the maximum benefits they are entitled to approved by law in a timely manner. In personal injury and workers' compensation cases, there are no fees or costs unless a recovery is made. The law office of Daniel L. Hightower is located at 7 East Silver Springs Boulevard, Suite 300. For your free consultation, call 352-629-7777 or 1-888-LAW-1976 and visit danhightower.com for more information. Daniel L. Hightower, PA lawyer, fighting for accident victim justice, and the proud sponsor of Ask the Cops.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And so is State Farm agent Angie Lewis, working hard to serve her community as a citizen and insurance agent. Angie wants to help you as you adjust your insurance needs to your life. From everything to helping educate your teen driver to protecting your family against everyday risks. She wants to change the way you perceive insurance by developing relationships with her clients, which is why Angie and her staff are proud to be a part of so many good causes in Ocala. In turn, she has chosen to single out those who step up as leaders. Each month on the Voice of Ocala, Angie spotlights a good neighbor, saluting those who give exceptional service or do random acts of kindness to others. For this, Angie was written up in State Farm's National Magazine. Angie also supports local businesses with a regular Biz Buzz. The Angie Lewis State Farm Agency is located at 1122 Northeast 36th Avenue, where visitors are always welcome and the coffee pot is always on. Call your good neighbor's State Farm agent today, Angie Lewis, at 294-2444.
Don't ever miss a single edition of the Mike Huckabee Show. We're going to have a whole lot of fun talking the big issues of the day. We'll talk to the newsmakers and the issues that made them a newsmaker, as well as we'll bring you some entertainment, some fun. You never know what's going to happen on the Mike Huckabee Show. Don't miss it.
Join Mike Huckabee every weekday from noon to 3 exclusively on WOCA The Source.
Cookies, 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 cookies.
When you want something special and fun for any occasion, get cookies. That's right. The Great American Cookie Company in the Paddock Mall, Ocala will make a delicious, fun-filled delight just for you. You might notice that I said fun and delicious more than once. That's because I can't say it enough. The next time you're at the mall, be sure and stop by or call 352-237-2557 to place your order.
Cookies, cookies,
Yum.
cookies, cookies. We go cookie eating cookies.
The Great American Cookie Company.
Call me crazy. Some people say insanity is doing the same thing over and over expecting a different result. I think insanity is 1,000 single-sided full-color business cards for $15 or packing service for 50% off. Call me crazy. Regency Printing on the corner of Northeast 25th Avenue and 24th Street. 789-6683. That's 789-6683. Look for the yellow signs.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Life jackets save lives. Wear it, Florida. Partly sunny today with a shower or thunderstorm in the area in the afternoon and evening, high 89 to 94. Partly cloudy later tonight, low 70 to 75. Sunshine mixing with some clouds, a thunderstorm in spots tomorrow afternoon, high 90 to 96. Muggy with a mixture of clouds and sunshine on Friday, high 89 to 94. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Steve Travis.
WOCA.
Coming up 5:30, going to have enjoy this particular interview with this gentleman from Seth B. Nation. He's got a really good breakdown on Florida Gator football. He's got some analytics. Bill Conley coming up next. Meanwhile, guys, we had a nice, healthy debate during the break between sports and our regular 4 o'clock hour about what happened last night in the Dodgers Diamondbacks game, when it was a scary moment for baseball's most exciting player, Yasiel Puig, who was hit and looked like for a minute he might have been really badly injured in the head. And then ensuing brawl broke out. And, what transpired was a bunch of pushing and shoving. No real punches thrown, but there will be fines without question.
That's not when the brawl happened.
Well, it happened after that. After Greinke got hit. That's when it happened.
As Greinke should have got hit.
It started with Puig.
Right.
First.
Oh, yeah, that started.
And then it started, and then they took it. Then after Greinke got hit, he's the pitcher, obviously. This is with the law of baseball, and then wisely, Greinke did not retaliate.
You're missing Miguel Montero that got hit, too.
All right, well, anyway, the bottom line was, this is what happened. It's a bunch of people hit. How many? Five people got hit by balls. Here's the stat, this is what I'm getting to, is that I was reading this earlier, was retweeted by Tony Reale from Around the Horn. A baseball thrown 90 miles an hour has about the same energy as a .22 caliber bullet fired from a handgun.
There you go. You always bring it back to guns, don't you?
I'm just saying this. I didn't write this. This is somebody else. My point is that here's the most exciting player in baseball who finally gives us something to get excited about and get past all the PED issues, whatever. And with one pitch last night, he could have been out and maybe out of the game. And it's totally irresponsible. I don't care what you say about pitching inside. In baseball, the law is you don't hit him in the head. And don't tell me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. It's like a person standing over a dead body saying, I didn't know the gun was loaded.
I think the fastball got away from Kennedy last night, and it got underneath his chin. I don't think it was an intentional throw at the guy's head. I think he was throwing a fastball inside. He overthrew it, and it got away from him. You as a pitcher know when you overthrow a fastball, it can get away from you. Do I think that it's good to throw at a guy's head? No, because you could kill somebody. You could permanently maim somebody. Dickie Thon was a great player that's career was ended because he took a ball to the head.
Remember it well.
I know, but this is my biggest problem with this isn't so much how it all got started or how it ended. It's that the one person who should have been the most mad, Zach Greinke, besides Puig should have been mad, but Zach Greinke took his hit like a man, was going down to first base, and the catcher and coaches and all that's what got me. Is you had 6 coaches: Don Mattingly, Mark McGuire, Matt Williams, Alan Trammell. These guys are coaches now. They're trying to live vicariously through their players out there on a midfield brawl. I thought that was a little ludicrous, but I thought you know what it is, buddy? It's just baseball being baseball. It's that unwritten rule, and somebody gets their feelings hurt, and everybody loses their cool.
The National League West is becoming ratchet, by the way.
It really is. It's terrible.
Zach Greinke and the Dodgers were involved in a huge brawl with San Diego a couple weeks ago. And that's when, or a couple months ago, that's when Zach Greinke got, pushed over, tackled, and ended up separating something or breaking something. He had to go on the DL. That's why he just stood there after that. He was like, I'm not getting in a fight. Yeah. This was just old school baseball. I liked it. But I didn't like Puig getting hit in the face.
Well, he didn't get it. Calm down now. He got hit in the shoulder, it glanced off his shoulder and grazed his nose. It wasn't like it caught him on the cheekbone or something. And I know it was up high and it's a dangerous pitch. But everybody said, oh, Puig got hit in the face. It hit his shoulder and then it hit him in the face. Okay? It glanced off his shoulder into his face. So, and somebody says, oh, you can hit a guy in the back. Let me tell you something. The spinal cord's in the back. I ain't real sure that's a good place to throw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball either.
I don't want to get anywhere,
Anyway, it was a little bit of, they say, boys being boys last night. And even Tim Kirchingham was critical of them for doing it. And it's just one of those things. Again, it's just like if LeBron went to the basket and somebody took his legs out from underneath him. They said, well, that's just hard basketball. It's a hard foul, It's just the way it is. Again, a bright young star.
Kennedy will miss at least one.
How many times did he hit people this year?
Kennedy's going to miss a start.
Had he hit 8 people this year or more?
I think leads the league.
Yeah, he does lead the league. So there's a little something maybe the commissioner will be talking about right now. So,
well, he's going to miss a start. McGuire's going to lose some games.
I didn't know McGuire was even coaching there last night.
He was the hitting coach for the Dodgers.
Got a little pub last night.
There's going to be some. Who I think instigated this whole thing, and is getting the easy ride is Miguel Montero, because as Greinke come up to bat, if you watch the replays and everything, Montero just throws the one down and is staring at Greinke the whole time like it's fixing to. Hey, I've told my pitcher what to do. Had a meeting, then Greinke comes up. Montero throws the one down and stares at Greinke the whole time. And then when Greinke doesn't react, Montero's like, well, I got to go find somebody to fight with.
Yeah. Let's talk basketball, then a little about soccer. Last night, I can't believe it, in the third quarter, this is how bad the game was. I flipped it over and watched soccer. And I didn't just watch it for 2 minutes. I watched it for like 12, 13 minutes. I turned it on.
The whole game?
No. I
watched till the end.
But you didn't turn it on until the second half. I turned it on the first period.
Yeah, you turned it on 0-0.
Yeah.
But you didn't watch the whole game?
When they were up 1-0, I had to worry about it.
Not true, buddy.
Not true.
In soccer, you only need one goal.
Yeah, and then you could give up another one like they did against Jamaica.
Bottom line was, I watched more than you did, and the point is that
you didn't watch more than I did.
Okay. Whatever.
I started watching it at the 48th minute.
Yeah,
I watched it all the way through the end.
You said you watched the last 10 minutes of the game. Whatever.
No, I started watching the.
Okay, you're the soccer expert. Go ahead. You can have that. Bottom line was, I watched the soccer game and I kind of enjoyed it. You know what I enjoyed? I really enjoyed the passing by the Americans. You know,
they're a great ball controlling team
and
right
it's
now.
It's fun to watch it. You know, there's a little skill to that.
The game can be beautiful.
Yeah.
At times.
That sounds like I've heard that before.
USA did beat Panama last night 2-0, buddy. Very important game. It is World Cup qualifying, and that means we have to finish in the top 3 in our group of 6, which is U.S., Costa Rica, Mexico, Honduras, Panama, and Jamaica. Mexico only has, out of 6 games, 5 games, they have 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss.
And
out of 6 games, they have 1 win, 5 draws. My bad.
And 3 goals total.
Exactly, which is insane for Mexico. They're usually the best team out of this region. Right now, they're 3rd place, so they could almost be looking on the outside in. Honduras is only 1 point back. We're in the lead right now, 10 points. We have 5 matches left to play. Including on Tuesday, we play Honduras in Utah, so that should be a pretty easy win. You never really know in this division, but USA should win. They had great goals by Jose Altidore, your favorite player.
He is.
I know. I watched him last night. He's a heck of a player.
And Eddie Johnson.
Strong, he's fast.
Altidore can play.
Yeah,
Altidore can play tight end.
Yeah, he's a really tall
He's an
guy.
athlete. Yeah, he is.
Let me ask. Go ahead.
Just want to say the most interesting thing about that last night was we were talking about the crowd in Seattle.
40,000.
And the fact the baseball game between Seattle and the Astros were next door had like 7,000.
Yeah. Seattle is actually one of the most
hotbeds of soccer.
Yeah, right now they have the biggest crowds in the MLS. You know,
they have a lot of Asians there too, because there's probably
they have a lot of every kind
and
of people.
Eddie Johnson plays for the Seattle team, so that was a big deal
for
now,
him.
Let me ask you. I kept hearing the announcers last night say, it looks like the USA team has turned a corner.
Yeah.
Dempsey and Altidore seem to be in rhythm. What do they mean by that?
Well, it's tough when these guys only play, 6 or 7 games all year against each other, and it's usually split up between months and months. They don't play together every day. These guys aren't on the same teams. So for a striker and an attacking midfielder, it's important for them to be in sync. That's where the goals come from. And so if those guys, Dempsey's the attacking midfielder, Altidore's obviously the striker. Finally, Altidore scored in the last 3 games for the USA. Huge deal.
He missed a goal last night towards the end of the game that was just beautifully set up.
Off the bar. They're just looking awesome, as opposed to a few months ago when they lose to Jamaica and we're all worried about, are they even going to make the World Cup at all? That was about 6 months ago. Now, they're in. They were chanting last night, we're going to Brazil. So
they were singing it. It sounded like I thought I was watching European soccer.
Yeah. Coming up, Bill Conley. We got to get Sean on him, make sure we got his number. Bill Conley from SB Nation. Before we go there, just a couple of things about the basketball game last night. 100th win for the Big Three, and from
LeBron
San Antonio.
And Dwayne. Oh,
yeah. And as I said, thanks to the little 3, they won it. I mean, Green, Neal, Leonard, 65 points. JJ, you had a great stat earlier about that, about those 3 guys. Their bench is phenomenal, and Popovich is really coaching this. I mean, he's got confidence in his bench.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember a bench, both benches, by the way, and when the Heat won in Game 2, their bench came through. The benches are a bigger factor than most any series I can remember in a long, long time, and certainly it was for the Spurs last night.
The starters are playing awful, buddy, for
I know.
both teams.
Denny Green is just on fire. He's got 16 threes in games 1, 2, and 3. Most threes made over a 3-game span by any player in NBA history. 36-point loss at down 2-1. The first time the Heat has trailed in a championship series. Worst loss in 25 years in the playoff for the Heat, and the second most lopsided win for the Spurs. LeBron, what was he, 2 for 14 with no free throws?
I can't believe he didn't get the foul line last night. Here's a stat I find amazing. The leading scorer in the NBA Finals right now, Danny Green.
Yeah,
And
Tom didn't even know. Tom didn't even know that Danny Green started before the series.
I didn't.
No. Well, I mean, we tried to name some players. If you remember, when we started out, and I said, how many guys can you name on the San Antonio team? And we could name 3.
Yeah. Well, Danny Green was one of them.
Yeah. Anyway,
but,
he's certainly bigger than we thought he'd be.
Yeah, him, Gary Neal, Kawhi Leonard, 130 points, same exact amount of points as Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh.
Best news for the Miami Heat is that Tony Parker's got a hamstring injury.
Right.
That might help him. We'll take a break, come back. We'll talk with Mr. Conley next from SB Nation. You Gator fans want to hear this. He's breaking it down, analytical analysis from Conley from SB Nation next right here on the Voice of Ocala Buddy Sports page.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
Hi, this is Buddy Martin for Renstar Medical Research. Every day we hear another story about innovation or about the cutting edge of technology taking place right here in Ocala. The power plant, IHMC, Ocala 489. But did you know that important medical research is also being conducted here that will impact hundreds of thousands of people in the country someday? Maybe you've heard the name Renstar, but like so many others, perhaps you didn't realize Renstar Medical Research is one of the top facilities of its kind anywhere in the U.S. There are important studies being conducted by a highly qualified team of medical experts at Renstar, impacting decisions of major pharmaceutical companies and bringing new drugs to market. And you can be a part of these studies, as so many local people are right now. Renstar has conducted more than 500 studies since its inception and would like to extend an opportunity to you to be a part of these. Call 877-629-5800 or 352-629-5800 if you'd like to know more. Renstar Medical Research, locally owned and operated in beautiful downtown Ocala. Renstar, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today.
Recently, I had a great conversation with General Manager Pat Murray on the special events at Country Club of Ocala.
We have a lot of special events here that are geared towards the family. Easter comes to mind. We have an Easter bunny who hops around on the driving range. We usually hide somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000 eggs and turn them loose and let them go harvest the eggs. We have a great family celebration here on the 4th of July where it's a traditional cookout, if you will. And as the sun goes down, the driving range becomes alive with probably one of the better fireworks displays in the area. Breakfast with Santa is a big deal.
Country Club of Ocala, where the Easter Bunny, Santa, and all the children, large and small, are a big deal on every special occasion. For more information, call 352-237-6644. That's 352-237-6644. Country Club of Ocala, proud sponsor of the Monday Gator Report right here on The Source.
WOCA. Habitat for Humanity of Marion County is a ministry dedicated to improving lives by providing affordable and decent housing. Help them help others by visiting the Habitat for Humanity Ocala home store on Northwest 27th Avenue. To schedule a donation, give them a call and they'll come and pick it up. For more information, visit habitatocala.org. Habitat for Humanity of Marion County, building homes, building hope, building community.
Hi, this is Joe, and I'm your host for the new show, Damage Control. Every Tuesday morning at 10:30 a.m., brought to you by Damage Control Services. We're going to be discussing floods, fires, storm and tree damage, sinkholes, mold, and many other disasters that you need to know about, how to prevent and prepare for them, as well as what to do when it happens and what to expect after it happens. This is Damage Control, Tuesdays at 10:30, right here on The Source.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram, CEO of Gateway Bank, inviting you to drop by our main office on Silver Springs Boulevard every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for the Community Gazette, a 3-hour show focusing on our favorite community to live and work, Ocala, Marion County. Come join us with the voice of Ocala, Buddy Martin, in the new old-fashioned bank radio studio as we discuss a variety of interesting topics on the Community Gazette on WOCA, The Source.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're ocalaforsale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to ocalaforsale.com. License and inventory change daily. Offered at non-creep dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Phoenix Promotional Solutions, your company supplier of banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Where you give them approved artwork by noon, the next day by 4 p.m., you pick up your banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404. That's 368-2404. Don't forget, they do vehicle wraps also. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404.
Around these parts, we like to talk about football almost 12 months a year, especially when it comes to our college football, and especially with Gator football. Not too much coming out of Gainesville these days, at least in the form of good, interesting news. One of the most refreshing articles I've read in a while was something called 2013 Florida Football's 10 Things You Need to Know, Brilliantly Ugly Orange. And it's my pleasure now to bring this program for the first time, Bill Connolly from SB Nation, the author of that story. Hi, Bill. Buddy Martin, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Well, I was really impressed with your analytics and your story, a little bit different than what I've seen on the Internet, and very well done, I might add. And I particularly like how you got from Dutch soccer to Gator football.
Well, the orange helps. Yes. It's an automatic tie there.
Yes,
but
yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was the first thing I thought of. I loved reading this book about Dutch soccer, how they used to win pretty, and it was a really fun up-tempo style, like Steve Spurrier's Gators, like some of Urban Meyer's teams. And last year they just turned that all around with some really ugly but effective football.
Interestingly enough, when Spurrier arrived, he got rid of the orange jerseys, by the way.
Yeah. We always have the helmets, though.
But you sound familiar with Florida football.
Yeah, I've been a full-time writer with SB Nation for a couple of years. This is my third year doing these big previews, and so you get to know these teams. Plus, I'm a Missouri guy, so we got to know the SEC a little bit better last year.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, so you obviously at the University of Missouri Journalism School, probably too, didn't you?
I ended up being communication. All my friends were J majors.
Okay, well, it's a good school. I've always. Let's talk about this. First of all, your analytics are quite interesting. I'm not a numbers guy, but I must say that some of the things you brought about were pretty compelling. It's kind of a mixed message. On one hand, if we didn't know it was already dull and ugly, as you said, which you did say, there's also some gold in there, too, and some things that Florida's offense, based on what you did with the stats, had some pretty good numbers in there. Talk about what the ugly part was. We know Jeff Driscoll holds the ball too long and so on and so forth. But let's talk about, first, the good parts you see of Florida's offense.
Well, there were a lot of big plays on the ground. Gillisley obviously had a lot of them, but then there was some good luck with the reverses to Solomon Patton, things like that. They were able to generate a lot of good plays on the ground, especially in the second half. The second half ratings were, as your eyeballs tell you, the second half was a much more effective half for Florida. That was the big thing. The ugly part was simply that they couldn't pass. Not very. There were very few big plays in the passing game, and Driscoll took a higher frequency of sacks than just about anybody in the country.
And I go back a long way on Florida football. I've written 3 or 4 books on it, and I go back a lot of years. And I must say that if you look at this number, it's staggering, because one of the things that constantly plagued the program until really Spurrier came along was the lack of offense. And now to say Florida finished 103rd in total offense last year with Brent Peace, that just doesn't wash, does it?
Yeah, it's the adjustments that I tend to make with the analytics we look at. A lot of them have to do with pace, and a lot of them have to do with schedules. And Florida with both of those things, Florida starts to look better after a while. Just when you take into account that they played really, really slow, like a Georgia did, and then when they played a lot of good defenses, they graded out better. But yeah, there weren't a lot of yards either direction in Florida games last year.
And seemed to regress as the season went on, as you point out too. Let's talk about the red zone now. You see some good things in the red zone, don't you? Even though there were 86 in the red zone S and P. But you said that they also had some good things in the red zone.
Yeah, the short yardage situations they kind of struggled in, but they, I think the Boise State factor here, as they get a little more familiar with that, you're going to see a lot of precision, a lot of motion, a lot of things that will work and did work a little bit last year. It's just, for whatever reason, for a pretty good running team, the short yardage situations really ate them up a lot more than you would think you would have maybe thought.
Obviously, Jeff Driscoll's an athlete. He was just drafted, by the way, the Major League Draft surprised even him, although he was a good baseball player. He's a pretty good runner. He throws the ball on the run okay. He's got at times makes really good throws, but he just doesn't seem to know. He can't feel the pressure when it comes. Mm-hmm. He holds the ball too long. I just got a feeling he could be a lot better, don't you?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you watch the Tennessee game, you watch the good plays, and you see this world of potential, but yeah, you don't know if it's necessarily an instinct thing or what the problem is necessarily. But he tried. He would roll out of the pocket and wait too long to throw the ball. He would be in the pocket and he would wait too long to throw the ball. The problems that Gator fans saw, that's certainly backed up by the numbers, and you just have to figure the ceiling's pretty high. We'll see how long it takes him to get there.
We're talking with Bill Connolly of SB Nation. Bill, this is Tom Schmitz. I was reading your article also, and your 8th point, the star ratings, that people get blinded by star ratings sometimes. And Florida had guys that weren't 5-star recruits that were making big contributions. Talk a little bit about what the star rating means in your analytics.
Well, it's a good way, in our projections that we do take recruiting rankings into account a little bit because they are predictive. Not always, but basically it's about odds. And a 5-star guy, if you're losing, say, a couple of really good defensive tackles like Florida is, that they are being replaced by, a 5-star guy in Dominic Easley, and then all of these youngsters, these 4-star freshmen and everything. That makes the odds pretty good that Florida's going to be able to replace their playmakers. It's no guarantee, as an Andre DeBose can attest. A 5-star rating doesn't guarantee success at a 5-star level, but looking across Florida's defense, you have to figure the odds are pretty good that with all these 4- and 5-star guys, they need 2 or 3 to really, really step up this year. The odds are pretty good that that'll happen.
Well, that's the question, because the wide receiver play has not been good since the national championship season 2008. They struggle to find somebody to step up there, and Andre DeBose never been what we all thought he'd be. He just doesn't seem to grasp the routes. Solomon Patton, who I think may have been probably one of their better receivers last year, and a guy who's got a lot of moves and he's good in the open field. You got Clay Burton at the tight end position. Then you got your fullback and your other tight ends. And they got some young guys up there they like as freshmen too. But what you're talking here, what I'm reading is saying they got a ways to go on offense yet.
Yeah, and it was maddening when you think about the receivers in the receiving corps last year and all the star ratings that they had in high school. Andre DeBose runs a great go route, but that's pretty much all he can run consistently. And you have these mix and match pieces. The other thing with Pease and Boise State is Boise State has always done a really good job of basically saying, okay, this guy's good at this. We're going to make sure he, whether it's just hands or go routes or things like that, they will make sure he's in a position to succeed. You didn't see that last year with the Florida passing game, and I'm curious if year 2 makes for improvement in that regard, because there's talent there's athleticism there, and it just didn't really show up last year.
Yeah, Luchis Purify was defensive back, was one of their best receivers. Now is going to be playing by receiver. I like he's a strong guy, and he's got good hands, and he's got some speed. So I'd like to see more of him on offense. So.
Yeah, I wasn't sure with the things I was reading. I saw that he was on offense and then back to defense. I wasn't sure what the plan was moving into the fall.
Well, who knows?
With him.
I don't think they know either. But I think you'll see him, depending on how the other young guys develop. I think you'll see him on the offensive side of the ball a lot.
Bill, this is Tom Schmitz again. I got the number 9 in your list that said Florida's best offensive player returns, and I was like, well, Gillislee's gone, so he must be talking about Jeff Driscoll. You were not talking about either of those players.
No, Kyle Christie's a really, really good punter, and Florida was able to get away with their style of play because they were so good at the field position game. The offense would get maybe a first down or 2. Christie would bomb the ball 45 yards downfield, and the defense would have, an 80-yard field behind them as like a 12th defender, and he's back, and that's huge. I mean, that you can play the same field position and defense game and win a lot of games if the offense doesn't come around, although I'm sure they're probably thinking the offense might come around this time.
I got a feeling they're going to be a defensive team again. They got really some good players in the front seven this year. I think they're going to be good in the secondary. I think their defense will be the signature of their team, and that means that Driscoll can't afford to turn it over, can't afford to hold it, throw picks, whatever. And I just think Muschamp is a defensive guy. Although Brent Pease is a very good offensive mind, I don't yet see his real stamp on the program.
Yeah, we'll see how much of a stamp he's. I don't want to say allowed, but the rope he has on the offensive end. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, Muschamp is a gritty, tough-nosed defensive guy, and last year's Florida team was gritty and tough-nosed and defensive. So you have to figure that probably wasn't an accident.
Still reading from that Sugar Bowl loss to Charlie Strong's Louisville Cardinals, though. Enjoyed having you on. I hope you'll come on again with us sometime later on, and you can read his work on SB Nation. Any place else we can see your work?
Within the SB Nation network, there's Football Study Hall, and I have a book coming out next month called Study Hall. So
called Study Hall?
Yeah, called Study Hall. I like continuity.
Well, when's it coming out?
Hopefully around July 15th or so, mid-July.
How about we get you back on when that comes out?
I would love it.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good job, Bill Conley, SB Nation. Kind of a refreshing voice there.
Yeah, pretty good. And I think some of the things he said, you heard JJ chuckle in the background, but there's a lot of truth to what he said.
Yeah.
When Florida's offense was anemic, their defense was very good, so the punter would flip the field, and the defense was able to, hold teams to minimal gains, and that is the importance of a punter. When you can flip a field when your team is geared towards defense, that's a big deal.
Well, the other thing is he's a neutral voice. He's not a Gator fan, and he gives
I was about to say, he's somebody not
he doesn't
around
have orange
the
and blue
organization
glasses
at all.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a break, come back. Brand new segment. You think he might choke on the new segment?
Nah, he'll be fine.
You think? What do you think?
I don't even know what this is. What we got?
Nothing but net with Sean Down Goes Frazier.
Is it basketball?
No, internet. Yeah, give me JJ. Come on, man.
That's
what am I going to do? Nothing but net with Sean Down Goes Frazier next. Stay tuned to the Voice of Ocala Buddy Sports page.
1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. He has no idea. The source.
Hi, this is Buddy Martin. If you have an award or a trophy in your house, there's more than a good chance it came from BJ Trophies Gifts and Awards. At BJ Trophies, Floyd Hirschberger and his staff have a lot more than just trophies. Among the items they specialize in are donor recognition walls and trees, personalized or engraved gifts, cast bronze dedication plaques, wide format digital printing with posters, banners, and signs, and promotional products. Floyd is the official trophy and awards maker for the Voice of Ocala radio show and is North Central Florida's leader in custom recognition programs, corporate awards, industrial engraving, unique gifts, and advertising specialties. When Angie Lewis went shopping for something to award to the winners of her State Farm Good Neighbor Award, she shopped first at BJ Trophies Awards and Gifts. Check them out at 1735 Northeast Jacksonville Road on North Magnolia's Miracle Mile, or call them today at 352-732-2249. BJ Trophies Awards and Gifts. Trophies is just our middle name.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram, CEO of Gateway Bank, inviting you to drop by our main office on Silver Springs Boulevard every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for the Community Gazette, a 3-hour show focusing on our favorite community to live and work, Ocala, Marion County. Come join us with the Voice of Ocala, Buddy Martin, in the new old-fashioned bank radio studio as we discuss a variety of interesting topics on the Community Gazette on WOCA, The Source.
The AP is reporting that 2 explosions at the finish line of the Boston Marathon.
There's 3 people confirmed dead at Boston Marathon.
Multiple people injured.
Explosion at the Boston Marathon.
Report of another possible device at the Mandarin.
Our 6 reported injured, no death. Workers felt the blast all the way over from Newburyport Street.
The Voice of Ocala, your eyes and ears when it really counts.
On
the next AM Ocala Live, Robin and I will be speaking to Dr. Kevin C. Greenridge. He's a fellowship-trained, board-certified ophthalmologist specializing in glaucoma. He's coming on to tell us about the early detection and treatment of glaucoma and successful surgeries in infants.
Open for debate, where both sides of one issue will be debated.
And then Hank Whittier will be in the studio bringing you veterans news as he does each and every Thursday.
Susanna Charleston is a flight instructor and a service dog trainer. She's written a book called The Possibility Dogs. What a handful of unadoptables taught her about service, hope, and healing.
And then the guys from Climate Control Mechanical Services will be telling us what they do in our homes and our offices to make sure the air we breathe is cool, healthy, and odor-free.
Dr. Jans Brow is a board-certified radiation oncologist, and he's also the medical director of the Florida Regional Cancer Centers. He will be addressing all of your cancer questions and concerns.
All of that plus fun with Joe on the next AM Ocala Live right here on The Source, WOCA 96.3 FM.
1370 AM.
Phoenix Promotional Solutions, your company supplier of banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Where you give them approved artwork by noon, the next day by 4 p.m., you pick up your banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404. That's 368-2404. Don't forget, they do vehicle wraps also. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404.
What you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
As far as fish go, tilapia has very low levels of heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids, and this is important, it's high in unhealthy omega-6 fatty acids. Everything but your shorts should be washed after every workout, because body heat is going to reignite certain odors that get baked into our clothes after a gym visit. Women who wear a little makeup are perceived as more reliable, capable, and more likable.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Welcome back to the program. Good session there with Bill Connolly. We'll have him back on again. We're going to go in just a moment. We'll have a real quick. Let's just get the one bite ready for on the golf.
We got Ron Syrek.
Yeah, I just got Ron Syrek ready to go real quick. First, got a new segment. We don't have any music for you, but here's Sean Down Goes Frazier with Nothing But Net. And no, it's not basketball. It's the internet. What you got, Sean?
Well, today, monitoring the Twitter feed, I found a tweet from, what was it?
Trey Wingo.
Trey Wingo, thank you, from ESPN. Pointing out a little.
You owe me $1, by the way.
Yeah, he owes me $1.
You owe me $1 for that.
Pointing out a little piece of trivia about the Marion Golf Course that the U.S. Open is currently going to be played on. The man who designed it was named Hugh Wilson. And Hugh Wilson took a trip to Britain to learn some techniques and course design ideas. And he postponed his trip back to learn a little bit more. But the great thing was the trip back was on the Titanic.
Sound like somebody would be on this show or something. Luck we'd have. Well, so not a good choice for him there. Well, anyway, the course turned out okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about it, but obviously he didn't make it on one of the boats, did he? Did he go down with the ship?
No, he canceled his trip.
Oh, he canceled
and
his trip.
Stayed in Britain when...
Oh, I see. He wasn't on the ship.
No,
he stayed over there to stay a couple extra days.
Good for him.
Yeah.
All right, good. Now, what's this about ESPN? What's happening with ESPN?
ESPN's
layoffs,
firing
and stuff,
a bunch of folks and eliminating some
Got to hire
positions.
Paul Feinbaum. He needs some money. Go ahead. What you got?
Well, one of the guys that got the axe today is Howie Schwab.
The Schwab is gone?
The Schwab got fired.
He got stumped.
The Schwab.
Yeah.
Yep, he got released today, along with they also eliminated 5 open production positions.
Boom, there we go, Tom.
And a show, by the way.
Yeah,
the Highlight
the show.
Express.
Yeah, the Highlight Express, because it got a 0.0 in the Nielsen rating.
I think I was the one who watched it. I watched it the
You
other
know,
day for
I
the
don't
first
have
time.
a problem with that show because that's what I want to see is highlights.
Yeah, well, somebody has a problem with it. So.
Yeah.
All right, Sean, thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, I got
Real quick, we had to go to our base.
Vimeo.com has a cool video of Dr. J at age 63 dunking a basketball.
Well, it's from the special.
Yeah.
It was the other night. It was on this program. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend The Doctor, which is on NBA. All right, JJ, We talked earlier this way about the U.S. Open. Tees off on Thursday, and our man Ron Syrak is there from Golf World Golf Digest. He said, "Be aware of the term mud ball." Ron Syrak from Golf World and Golf Digest. Hi, Ron. Thanks for joining us. Is there such a thing as a mudder in golf?
Well, there are. I mean, there are certainly people who play better in bad weather. Tiger is not a very good bad weather player. I don't know how much bad weather we're going to have. The forecast for Thursday is not good. I don't know how much bad weather we're going to have when they're actually out there playing. But, I think with the way the course is softened up, I think it brings more people into the mix this week.